I'm walking. Sometimes I think about, does love still exist? Yeah, I have my doubts. On the street, I check out how brothers be living. Yo, let's just say, kid, it ain't no Thanksgiving. We got people shooting dope, ain't never heard of hope. We got others with the gat and the brothers with the fucking scope. As I enter the project center rec rooms, some brothers might see the doom. I see my nigga Paulo, fat pockets of papes. He knows the neighborhood biddies with all the dopest shapes. There goes Rollo with the blowout fro. He's got a gap, hey yo niggas gots to go. No show is live with narrating, fuck Memorex. My nigga Rollo's got a gat at Paulo's chest. One slug blasted out, down boy died. Now show me some love, kid, it sounds like a fucking lie.
The struggle goes on, people trying to survive, hold on. But we know it's been so long, pain without a limit, so wrong.
Sometimes I think how the world come to this, a place where every man and woman needs a therapist. Mass confusion, people living in delusion, justify all the bullshit through the Constitution. Meanwhile, the masses struggle to survive. I think we're too busy to hear our people's cries. Singles mothers struggle to raise families, genocide committed through famine and disease. I wonder if these things will ever cease to exist. I know it could if we cease and desist. Giving all the power to the industrialists, giving all our power to the damn commercialists. They see us just as being sheep in this world, that want us to do what we're told like boys and girls. Oh God, I wanna live another day so I can help provide equality
and
this
yes, you know,
day.
the struggle goes on, people trying to survive, hold on. Though we know it's been so long, pain without a limit, so wrong.
Everybody around the globe, open up your earlobe, your third eye, and then decipher the code. Through knowledge, understanding, then bring love into the concept instead of bling bling. Truth instead of biased educational methods, twisting, contorting God's message of love for every human being. Listen, motherfucker, don't you hear the screams? It's time to do much more than talk, debate, and spread hate. We need to think and at the same time investigate, understand what our actions may create. Before continuing the cycle we procreate, we can clone humans, but at the same time we can't feed humans. The future of man is actually looming. It's really depressing, it's true.
And yes, you know the struggle goes on, people trying to survive, hold on. But we know it's been so long, pain without a limit, so wrong.
One, two. All right, y'all. We back at it again. Let me see here. It is 9/09/18, Tuesday, the 10th February. Central European time. That makes it 3:18 Eastern Standard Time, America, and about 12:01 time Pacific, depending on where you are. Pacific time, America. What's up, everybody? Back at it again. And guess what? I mean, damn, we are inching closer and closer to this Maxwell pardon that Trump seems basically, he's on the path to doing. We've said this a million times. Trump is going to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. And if we don't want to use the word pardon, let's just say he's going to get her ass off so she can get home, right? That's what's going to happen. People may as well stop thinking that something else is going on, because it's not. She will be pardoned by Trump. She will escape, and all her secrets, whatever other secrets she has, she's going to get away with, and keeping them. So that means there's one more person that cannot be held accountable. That's Ghislaine Maxwell. One more person that will not be helping the United States government resolve this issue of espionage, spying. Who else? Who else in government has been spied on? Who else in government has has hooks in them by the Russian government, by Putin? Who else is being tinkered around with like a puppet? And the American taxpayer will have to flip the bill. And the bill is your freedom, to be honest. It's not just like $1 billion or $1 million. No. This is way over your head. It's $1 trillion, trillions of dollars that's just going to keep being funneled out of the window. And it's your freedom too. on top of it. Kind of like the slave days. I mean, if you can imagine what that was all about, money, right? It was about trade, right? It's about it's about freedom, civil rights, human rights. Yeah, all those same components, although a lot of people don't think that it's possible for them to be slaves. Hey, I understand that. That's not a nice way to look at stuff, but neither was it back then. And neither was it back in the 1400s, 1500s, 1600s, 1700s. No, it wasn't nice to look at it that way back then. But nonetheless, it was what it was anyway, whether you liked it or not liked it. Maybe you had a different perspective. Maybe at that time you was just the guy holding the whip. I don't know. Maybe you weren't the master on the plantation. Maybe you didn't own the plantation at that time. Maybe you was just an indentured servant hanging around the other slaves and just trying to work off your debt so you could get on with your life and not being able to own land of your own. Maybe you were from that perspective. But whoever you are, whenever you are, slavery still can happen, and people better start thinking about how it fucking happens. I mean, learn your lessons from history. What you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. And don't worry, I know that there's people that don't give a fuck what I think, and that's normal. I get that, no problem. And, there's always going to be a few, and I say, hey, you have every right to not do that. I'm not going to cry over spilled milk. You know what I'm saying? But for those of you that have seen some things, some of you that have been outside the box sometime, some of you that might have some other perspective on it, some of you, let me put it to you this way. Some of you that grew up on the block but hung out uptown. You know what I'm saying? Some of you that got around your own country. Some of you that got around outside of your own country and got a chance to let it sink in a little bit. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? The ones of you that didn't waste time have always been out there learning and doing something. You staying busy, absorbing the information you get from around you, from different people, from a vast source of individuals, right? And from a vast variety of people, right? Those of you that are used to taking in information, you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And I don't see it any different. So when I invoke the word slavery, I actually fucking mean it. You know what I'm saying? I actually really mean it. I mean, what is your life worth to you? I mean, do you have the right to know what's going on? Do you have the right to know? You know what I'm saying? Tune, what's up? Yeah, Tay, what's up? Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? Kathleen, yeah, do you have the right to know what's going on in your own Epstein files with your own country? Or is it got to be a secret? I mean, Trump says it's got to be a secret and you don't have the right to know. And one of the main players, including, that was there with him, one of the main players that was present with him, that knows all about him and what he was doing, you know what I'm saying? The main person that knows whether he killed little people or didn't, knows whether he slept with little people and beat little people and smacked up little people, tortured little people or didn't, he's about to pardon, and it is what it is. So let's take a look at that. I know I had to redo the stream for the stocks. I'm going to do that on Friday. Plenty of time on Friday, so that's coming. It's going to be on an off time. But it's still coming because it's important, and there's a lot of changes coming in the world economy. So being up on the stocks is going to be a wise thing to do. If you're into stocks, you know what I'm talking about. So let's drop it here because Ghislaine Maxwell, she invoked the fifth. But let's start off here and then work backwards. Here we go. Let's see.
Maxwell is a monster. She facilitated, aided, and abetted Epstein's crimes, engaged in those crimes. She was the enforcer who threatened the victims and the survivors of those crimes. And today we looked into the eyes of that monster in the deposition. What we did not get were any substantive answers to the questions that were asked that would advance our investigation, to help us learn who were the other men involved in these crimes, to help us learn who were the others who knew about these crimes, to help us learn what exactly was said between Todd Blanche and Ghislaine Maxwell that led her to be transferred to a minimum security prison. What we did get was another episode in her long-running campaign for clemency from President Trump. And President Trump could end that today. He could rule out clemency for Ghislaine Maxwell, the monster. He could rule out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell, the monster. The question for all of us today is, why hasn't he done that, and why won't he do that?
Is there a
Ooh,
conspiracy?
whoa. Hold on. Wait a second. Let me see something. Hold on. He just said something about Todd, the deputy DOJ.
The question for all of us today is, why hasn't he done that, and why won't? In her long-running campaign for clemency from President Trump. And President Trump could end that today. He could rule out clemency
Okay.
for Ghislaine Maxwell, the monster. He could rule out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell, the monster. The question for all of us today is, why hasn't he done that, and why won't he do that?
Is there a conspiracy of silence?
I'm going to turn it over to my colleague.
Ooh, damn, that was a nice question right there. Is there a conspiracy? That would be the obvious question. And I think everybody knows the answer to that. Hell, yes, there is a conspiracy afoot. And if you've ever invoked the word conspiracy before, you need to invoke it right now.
Commonwealth of Virginia, Sue Subramanian.
No, there's no conspiracy.
Just
That's what the maggots are going to say now. There's no conspiracy. No, why would they do that?
reiterate, Ghislaine Maxwell should have no hope of ever getting out of prison. But today, she, through her lawyer, explicitly stated that she wants to be out of prison through a clemency that this president would grant. And she's campaigning over and over again to get that pardon from President Trump.
Look, I like how Jasmine Crockett is peeping game, just like she's present. Like, I'm gonna get you. You tried to fuck with me, Trump. You tried to redistrict. You got my districted. You tried to fuck with my job. You petty ass. I'm gonna be here to the end now. And she is.
And this president has not ruled it out. And so that is why she's continuing to not cooperate with our investigation. The reality is that she is a monster. She should be behind bars. She should stay there. She should answer our questions, but she is not willing to do so because she is looking for that pardon and looking to absolve any people related to this administration. So we will continue to call for this president to completely rule out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell. I'm going to hand it over now to the representative from Texas, Ms. Crockett.
Thank you so much. Listen, as an attorney, I was wondering exactly where all we were going with her planning to invoke the Fifth Amendment. You know, Fifth Amendment is about self-incrimination. We all know that she has been finally convicted. She has exhausted all of her appeals. But they've decided to file a writ of habeas corpus. In my opinion, they have filed this writ of habeas corpus just to use it as an excuse to not answer more questions because, again, we know that she's a monster. We know that a jury was able to listen to all of the evidence and find that she should be found guilty. And even Donald Trump's Supreme Court, which that is saying a lot,
Yep.
even his Supreme Court has decided.
Even Clarence Thomas, you know what I'm saying? Even Clarence Thomas, the dude that is said to be on it. I mean, doesn't Ghislaine Maxwell want some get back for that? Don't she want some get back for Clarence? Don't she want to out Clarence Thomas? Does she want to out anybody else? This is the funny thing. I mean, I think it's coming down to there's going to be a point where these people are going to go after each other. I don't think everybody is going to make it. You know, regarding the people that were on that island, Ghislaine Maxwell, Trump, and who else is reported to be present at parties. It's not just about the island, but present at child sex parties, right? Clarence Thomas, and all of them. I don't think they all gonna make it out of this alive. I'm telling you, I think somebody's gonna drop. I think it's getting heated right now. It's just getting heated right now. The oven's about to be on full blast right now. It was warming up before. Now it's about to be on full blast. Something's going to happen. I think somebody's not gonna make it for real. That's my feelings about it.
Every single thing that took place on the trial level. So the fact that this woman is continuing to invoke the Fifth Amendment tells us exactly what my colleagues have already stated. She is a monster. She does not care. She has no remorse. She is not seeking to bring about some kind of closure for these women. She doesn't care. And frankly, it seems like this administration overall does not care. All they care about is protecting the powerful and protecting pedophiles. They will do anything to distract from that, including deciding to put up in the middle of Black History Month the most racist thing that we've ever seen come out of a White House. But I am here to tell you that House Democrats, specifically on the Oversight Committee and the Judiciary Committee, as we do have Pam Bondi coming before us here in a minute, we will not be deterred. We will not be distracted. We know who it is that needs to be held accountable, and we will go in and we will make sure that we continue to dig. This will not stop us because his co-conspirator decided that she was going to try to play games with us this morning. I got news for you, Ms. Maxwell. We're not done. We're going to continue to go. And it is my hope that this court resolves this sham of a I don't even know what to call it, this scam of a maneuver that she has filed in court. That is what we will call it. We hope that that is resolved quickly and we can bring her on back, since we're not physically moving her. She's still in her cushy jail cell down in Texas. We will bring her back so that she can answer questions and hopefully finally start to answer questions truthfully. And now I'm going to pass it over to my good friend out of New Mexico, Ms. Stansberry.
All right, well, good morning, everyone. It is Monday, February 9th. We are just walking out of the deposition with Ghislaine Maxwell after the House Oversight Committee has subpoenaed Ms. Maxwell to speak to the committee in our ongoing...
Yo, and by the way, that was done fast, actually. I like how organized at least the House Democrats are. I like that. And, you know, everyone she announced that she was going to plead the fifth anyway before she even went in for the deposition. So, yeah. But kudos to them for getting it done.
An investigation into the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein and to hold those accountable who have not yet been investigated and convicted of those crimes. As was evidenced this morning, Ghislaine Maxwell did not provide information to the committee and instead invoked her blanket Fifth Amendment rights. While we are not able to speak to the specifics of what was said within the deposition until the deposition record is made public, it is very clear that she used this opportunity to not only campaign for clemency as she has been doing, but also to send a direct message that she is hoping that people who were sitting in the deposition will transmit to the President of the United States, which is that her silence can be bought through clemency.
Yeah, and she's letting it be known also that if you don't help me, she has no other option but to tell. She's got two options, Ghislaine Maxwell. Keep quiet and get clemency or a pardon, whatever you want to call it, a get out of jail card, a get home card, a get back to the UK card, a disappearing act card. Where's all that money? By the way, does anybody know where all that money is gone? Does anyone know? She might have money waiting for her in the billions of dollars outside of the U.S. somewhere. You don't know. And you best believe she has it. You see what I mean? This woman is not your average woman. She's a goddamn like MacGyver. You know what I'm saying? Flying helicopters and all kinds of shit. You see what I mean? She underwater scuba sub diving. Okay. So she got something else going on pretty much. And Trump knows that. And Trump's going to get her out. Trump's going to get her out. You know, there's no way out of it. But I see Devil Doll. I see that she says when I asked in the chat, y'all, for those of you that are looking at the chat, I know everybody's not in the chat because some people are just watching the TV right now. But Devil Doll says when I asked folks what state do they come from and who's their healthcare provider, I usually ask that to qualify people's comments in the chat so I get an idea if they're a real person or not. By the way, if you time somebody out, just time them out for you know, unless it's a real gross comment, time them out for like 5 minutes, you know. But check this out. Devil Doll says she makes too much money for medical, too little to afford the monthly plan payments. Look, she's in California, no health care for me. I work for the Fed government none available. Right. There's loads of Americans that, listen, 20-something% of the federal budget is, maybe even more, maybe 30% of the federal budget goes to healthcare. That means payroll taxes that they collect from everyone across the country, whether you can afford Medicaid or afford healthcare or not. Those federal dollars, 20% of it goes to Medicaid or whatever that program is that is funded by the federal government. Even if you can't afford it on the back end, even if you can't afford the co-payments, even if you can't afford the deductibles, your tax dollars is still going to it. So this is an emergency crisis in the United States of America. This is not a something you brush off. You know what I'm saying? This should be number one priority. You see what I'm saying? For everybody to get straight. How is healthcare going to work? And why the hell, in the richest country that's ever existed on earth, doesn't every American citizen have healthcare? Why every child doesn't have healthcare? Just like in every other Western country that's not so powerful that Trump wants to call shithole countries. You see what I mean? But in any case, you know the reason why. Because we giving billions of dollars to goddamn pedophiles. That's why we don't have it. That's why education, you can't access healthcare and education, because of these folks want to give all the money to Elon Musk and people that hang out on, and subsidize the goddamn their businesses through tax dollars too. That's why it's happening. You can't have it. The rich can't continue to get, the wealthy, super wealthy can't continue to get more wealthy while the middle class and the poor have a decent life, a deserving life. The two just don't work together.
That she is trying to send directly to Donald Trump himself. Directly.
Yo, Thomas, listen, y'all, this is going to be a little lesson for Thomas. He writes, your trans kids Thomas, listen, man, get your mind off of sex, you pervert. Why are you thinking about little kids, you little bitch? Just get the fuck out the chat, man, for real. Like, calm down. Come back with your mind straight, you little pervert. You know what I'm saying? What the hell is he talking about? He come in the chat talking about little kids. Who's trans kids? Who's he talking about? Kids ain't even part of the conversation. We talking about healthcare. We talking about wealthy billionaires getting off that are goddamn pedophiles. I bet you Thomas is a pedophile. That's what it is. That's what it is.
She is telling Donald Trump through her deposition that she is trying to buy her clemency. Now, she did state that she is taking and invoking her Fifth Amendment rights because of a pending habeas petition before the Southern District of New York. But let us be clear. Her case appeals have already gone to the United States Supreme Court and they have been denied. She is not being released from jail unless, of course, Donald Trump buys what she's selling.
Facts.
So we want to be clear that she is exactly where she's supposed to be in terms of her conviction, and she needs to go back to the prison where she belongs. Now, we have a lot of questions for Ms. Maxwell with regards to what actually happened in Epstein's affairs, who was directly involved in the sex trafficking, money laundering, and influence peddling scheme that she and Jeffrey Epstein were involved in, how Donald Trump was involved, and whether or not he committed any crimes himself, as did his many associates who are named in the Department of Justice files. Let us be clear that Donald Trump is not only named thousands of times in the latest release from the Department of Justice, he is named over 38,000 times.
Yeah, just to make it clear, the only legal way that Ghislaine Maxwell can get out of prison is through a pardon now. The Supreme Court has said no. She can't, there's no other way she can't get now that she's been convicted, it can't be, they won't overturn the conviction in the Supreme Court. They refuse to. So it's the only option she has left is Donald Trump. So that's why this deposition that she gave was so important to hear. What is this all about? Who is she all about? What does she know? Is she going to cooperate with the government? So she's not cooperating with the United States government. You see, she's basically keeping her mouth shut. And the question is, who benefits, and it's obviously Trump, it's obviously Trump who benefits and the other people that were present. Anybody else? Bill Clinton, if you want to go at the Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, if you want to go down that one. But everyone else, Clarence Thomas, everyone else Everyone else who's been implicated, it doesn't matter who it is, any person that ever came out of your mouth or you ever even thought for 1 second had anything or possibly could have anything to do with Jeffrey Epstein or know anything about the sex trafficking and the harming and brutality of kids and the extortion and the blackmail. If you thought they had anything connected with that, that's what Ghislaine Maxwell would know, and that's what people want her to talk about. But she ain't talking, so she's not talking. Discord, yeah, you can hop up on Discord. I'm going to drop the link in a little bit, because we're going to do that like in about an hour from now. People can hop up, so or in a half an hour from now, something like that. So it's coming.
And we know that only represents half of the files that the Department of Justice has in its possession, including files that were used for direct investigations of perpetrators, people who committed crimes, people who were co-conspirators in those crimes, and individuals who knew of those crimes. We know that there are multiple administration officials, including
Euro Scott.
Elon
What's
Musk,
up?
who served as the appointee for the DOJ efforts in the White House. We know that the Secretary of Navy. We know that Steve Bannon. We know that there are more than 36 associates, family members, and individuals directly associated with Donald Trump named in those files. Now, there are now at least 9 or 10 other countries across the world that have opened investigations or forced their leaders to step down because of their mere association with Jeffrey Epstein. And the United States government is engaged in an active cover-up of the largest sex trafficking scandal and influence peddling scandal in the history of the United States, and Donald Trump is right at the center of it. And the person who is living to provide the evidence, who knows what is going on, is trying to invoke the Fifth to buy her clemency. So let's be clear on what we saw here today. This was an effort to essentially try to secure her pardon by keeping her mouth shut. And we will not allow this silence to stand. It was announced late last week that the Department of Justice would allow members of Congress to view the unredacted files of the files that have been released, and many of us will head to the Department of Justice today to look at the memos and internal documents of Department of Justice that were removed from the website, to understand why names of survivors were unmasked and why and who the Department of Justice is shielding as they have redacted files that include perpetrators and co-conspirators. And with that, we will stand for questions.
Can you talk about if there was a conversation around Howard Lutnick, for example? I know Comer said he didn't want to disrupt the other 5 depositions that they have scheduled, but I don't know how even just trying to speak to Comer would disrupt the other 5. So I wonder if you could help us understand.
With regards to this deposition
With regards to any future deposition with Howard Lutnick or some of the others that you described.
The committee is keeping an ongoing list of individuals.
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because if she's allowed to plead the Fifth, then why isn't everybody allowed to plead the Fifth? You see what I mean? And I think Congress, the Senate, whoever is involved, right, they need to make a clear distinction or answer that question clearly and make a decision about that. If she's allowed to plead the Fifth and she pleads the Fifth, what are the consequences? Are the consequences that she gets sent back to the regular jail? I mean, what is the consequence? Because if she's allowed to plead the Fifth, then she's a main player, right? She's the one that the American people, right? Us, the taxpayer, the citizen, needs to hear from. If she refuses, then why should we be helping her with our tax dollars? Why should anyone that gets paid from our tax dollars be helping her? She refused to testify in her own trial. You see what I mean? She didn't even take the stand in her own trial, and now she's refusing to testify before Congress, right? So is Hillary Clinton allowed to plead the Fifth? Is Bill Clinton allowed to plead the Fifth? Are we just going to have a whole bunch of Fifth pleading? Is that what people ask for? Is that what the American taxpayer, the citizen, deserves? Is that what people want? Is that what people are going to stand for? You see what I mean? So, yeah. Yo, the link is dropped. The link is in the chat. It's a Discord link. So hop up and get into the waiting room, and then I'm gonna call some people in to have a few words to say. All right. So let's continue.
It's really important for folks to understand that in order order for us to subpoena anybody, the majority has to consent.
Hey,
And so while
Dan-
we appreciate
Dan-
that there is bipartisan.
Dan Cycle, you're saying please. You're saying she didn't get any type of pardon. No one said she did. I think you're not understanding what's being said here by multiple individuals. What's being said is that she's seeking a pardon. Very simple. This is what the discussion is about. This is what they're discussing in Congress. The fact that she said she's seeking a pardon. This is what has been asked of Trump. This is what the conversation is about. So try to catch up. 12, catch up, man. Come on now. Or lady.
In this case, we have a whole list of individuals we would like to subpoena before the committee that they have not consented to. Of course, we would like to speak to Secretary Lutnick, and I personally believe that Mr. Lutnick needs to step down immediately.
What is your message to survivors amid this sort of wall of silence that we've seen today from Ghislaine Maxwell?
Our message to survivors is that we are here to bear witness, to fight for justice, and to fight for convictions.
Yeah, I mean, we're standing with them. We have been in communication with those survivors that are really, there are a certain number of survivors that are really more involved than others, and they are standing for their fellow other survivors. They're out front. We are standing with them, and we are telling them that we're not going to back down, which is why we're very clear about the fact that, yes, this took place today, and basically Ghislaine was like, I'm not going to participate, but we're not going to stop. You know, there were those that thought we would stop when we were able to get the discharge petition done. There were those that thought we were going to stop when it didn't seem like we had the votes once we finally got that done. I mean, the House Speaker shut the House down so that we would not go there, right? And now that
That's
they have
crazy.
violated the law, because this is actually in law, we are not stopping. So I want people to understand that House Democrats, we are going to be on their asses. Like, that's just the reality.
And what is your message to President Trump in that case?
Same thing. We're going to be on his ass. I mean, you know, it is so, I don't really know where we are in this country. Why are we even having this conversation? The United States is falling apart right now, partially because he's going out and randomly allowing for the killings of people in the middle of the street. But the other part of it is that we have a 34-count convicted felon, and there are people that are still shielding him from any type of accountability as it relates to a child sex trafficking ring. It is time to take the blinders off. Like, I don't understand why we are pretending like any of this is normal. And I think that that is the level of frustration that so many people are bringing, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent, specifically to the Epstein file situation.
You know, look, Dan Cycle says, why is Maxwell even a story? Yeah. Why is she? Why do you think she is? You tell me. But why are you here for this story? Why are you here for this story? I don't understand it. There's a million trillion stories you're interested in, but you're here for this story? It must be working. Hey, thanks for joining us, Dan. Thank you. 12 Cycle Dan, big up. Glad you could make it. Appreciate it. Now, we're going to have this story, this conversation, along with the congressional members that just called her in. Trump, who's been commenting on it. Yeah, why is Trump commenting on it? We're going to... She's been asking for a pardon. Could that be the reason why? I mean, I don't know.
Because right now,
troll.
They were willing to try to throw the Clintons in prison for not showing up, yet they won't even allow us to bring other people into committee who we know are
General, what's up?
Files and mention so much more. When we went through the hearing as relates to the Clintons, I said, listen, we know that Donald Trump's name is mentioned more. Bring him in too. Like, I'm not saying that this should be partisan. This should be whoever. I want to be clear about that. This, for the Democrats, this isn't partisanship. This is about right versus wrong.
It should be, definitely.
With respect to the survivors, I spoke with a survivor this morning. Many of them are on.
Hey, look, somebody in the chat says PBC3PO. PBC3PO. What's up? What's up, C3PO? Grok? Yeah, PB Grok C3PO says, go after the Clintons then. Well, didn't you just hear her say she want the Clintons too? And don't you hear her saying, yeah, if Ghislaine Maxwell is allowed to plead the fifth, doesn't that open up a lane for the Clintons to plead the fifth? Is that good? Is that what you want? Answer the questions, man. Stick in the convo, bro. It shouldn't really matter. you shouldn't care who what party a person is calling. You should only be asking for anyone associated. It has nothing to do with your party. It has nothing to do with your party. It has nothing to do with how broke your ass is either. Okay, because you're not a billionaire. So stop covering up for rich folk. Okay, now it should have something to do with were you invited to the parties or not, and your broke ass wasn't. So slow down and let us find out. Let's go through the process to find out who was invited to the party and what they did. Okay, stick with that convo. Okay, PB Grok C3PO. Come on now.
Capitol Hill today at the Judiciary Committee hearing, and what I said to her is what we need is for members of Congress, Democrats and Republicans, to show just a tiny bit of the courage that the survivors have shown. If we can find it, if our Republican colleagues can find just a little bit of courage, when the survivors have demonstrated incredible courage throughout this ordeal, we can make progress and get the transparency they're asking for.
Can I just ask?
This is so cute. Dan C3PO is saying, Dan Psycho is saying, I don't know what the host is saying. Have that dude on mute. He's here. Wow. You came here. You must love my talking, Dan, because you're here. It got you here. Yeah. Welcome to the party, man. You're welcome to stay if you want to stay. If you want to stay. Do you want to stay, Dan? Come on in and stay, man. They're Plaster Alley, Dan. Plaster Alley. Let's go.
The Epstein files could possibly bring down a British
We still love you, Dan. Don't worry, man. We still love you, man.
minister. Why do you think that is happening there, but it's hardly politically hurting an American president?
Well, I think it's important.
You hear Crockett? Mm-hmm. Gotta play that back.
It's hardly politically hurting an American president.
That shit gonna go viral, yo. Yo, this is about to be a short on YouTube right now.
Possibly bring.
Let's hear it again.
We can make progress and get the transparency they're asking for.
We got a question, y'all. Question from the audience. Here you go.
Can I just ask? The Epstein files could possibly bring down a British Prime Minister. Why do you think that is happening there, but it's hardly politically hurting an American president?
That is an excellent question. And that is because the United States government right now is doing the opposite of every other country on earth. What they're doing is they're hiring only people that are in the Epstein files right now. And instead of firing people in the Epstein files, the U.S. government is making it a prerequisite. They saying, hey, man, if you want a job from us, your ass better be in them files. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. And you know, hey, if that's what the taxpayers want in the United States of America, if that's what citizens think they want, then that's what they're going to get. That is exactly what you're going to get. If you only want people from the Epstein files hired, that's what you're getting. That's what you've been seeing. People that have had their hands on the Epstein files and held them back before got jobs from Trump and shit. You know, Ala Costa got a job. Pam Bondi was number 2 in the Florida deputy's prosecutor's office, right? The Florida AG. She was number 2. She got the job after Ala Costa. Now she got a job from Trump. I mean, anybody who's in the file, Lutnick. Who else? Elon Musk. I mean, who else? Peter Thiel. I mean, Peter Thiel got 3 citizenships. Every other broke ass American has 1, right? Elon Musk have 3 citizenships. You know what he's going to do when the fire is up on his ass. He's going to say, "Hasta la vega, hasta la vega, adios, amigos. See you later, sucker." That's exactly what he's going to say. And this thing about asking, the question about Maxwell, she's saying the same thing too. If she gets a pardon, it's adios, sucker, American sucker. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being a bunch of bitch asses. We took you again. You can't do anything about it. Yay, I'm free and you're a slave. You'll never know what's going on because you're a fucking slave. That's literally what they're saying. I mean, this is what's going on. This is your life. This is your life, yo. Wasn't that a TV show? Some shit like that. This is your life. This is your life for real. This is it. The one without health care. The one without universal education. The one where you pay for the Epstein files to be housed and kept out of your hands. You pay tax dollars to have the Epstein files kept out of your fucking hands? Wow. That's deep. That's deep. That's deep. I never heard of that, but hey, fuck it.
That right now the Congress is controlled by Donald Trump's allies, and our Speaker of this House preferred to keep the House of Representatives shut for more than 40 days so that we could not advance the Epstein Files Transparency Act. He is being actively shielded by members of his own party, whereas in other countries, including the UK, members of parliament are demanding accountability. And that is why our plea is to the American people. We need to hold these people accountable. And my message to Donald Trump is, we're coming for you. We are not moving on.
Oh, shit.
I'd like to ask you just a couple of things. First of all, about the demeanor.
But make no mistake about it. The woman is good-willed. Like she says, she's coming after Trump, and I get that. I understand that, and they should be coming after everybody involved. But listen, these are the people that she's coming after are the most powerful people in the world. I'm talking about just the ones in the U.S. They are the most powerful people in the world. Don't ever forget that. They are going to throw everything at you. If they want to get inside of the U.S. military, that's exactly what they're going to try to do. If they're going to plant viruses in the Pentagon, that's exactly what they're going to do. If they want to plant viruses and bugs inside of the bunker under the White House, that's exactly what they're going to try to do over this. They're going to pay money and threaten people's lives. They're going to do anything full nonstop to protect themselves from this lady right here and anybody else associated with her in government, in Congress, in the courts, in anything. That is what is actually going to go on. So there we go. Let's see here. Just to be, just to make you understand where the power dynamics are. In law, Congress has the upper hand, but that's not what you're seeing. You're seeing corruption. So in a corrupted society where Congress takes payoffs and handouts and also others get death threats every day, this is the results of it. So this is not a healthy, free and fair and open democracy you're seeing. This is an unhealthy one. So it's teetering on, just pure authoritarianism. So you're going to have it. If that's what you want, you're going to have it.
Maxwell, what did she say? How did she look? Can I also ask, we've heard from your committee before that you want to hear from the former Prince Andrew and from Peter Mandelson. Do you think there are questions for the broader British royal family, King Charles?
Yeah, Ghislaine Maxwell was once again unrepentant. She was very robotic.
Dylan, what's up?
She was not at all remorseful about pleading the fifth today. I think, again, this is all strategy for her to try to get a pardon.
Okay, so do you want to see Ghislaine Maxwell testify? One, if you wanted to see her not plead the fifth and testify. Two, if you don't care, if you don't want to see her testify, right? So to make it very simple, I wanted to see her answer questions. I didn't want to see her plead the fifth. So I'm putting a 1 in the chat. If you don't care or you don't want her to testify or you're okay with her pleading the fifth, put a 2 in the chat. Let's get some some clear statements out of folks that are participating. There we go.
Trump, and she has never shown any remorse for the victims in this entire case.
As it relates to that part, I think that we want to speak to anyone who has information. Now, again, being an attorney, it's been quite frustrating that the Department of Justice has continued to hold files against the law and against the subpoenas, right? But what you would normally do is you would start with the evidence. So it's a matter of us taking a look at the evidence and trying to see who it is that is involved in this very tangled web. I think that we should speak to anybody, even if that means that we go that high. Now, do I have any evidence to suggest that there's anything there at this moment? Not necessarily, but I do want to see everything, and I will be clear about this. When we had our large roundtable where we talked to so many survivors, they did say that this has impacted high levels of government across the world, not just in England. They talked about multiple other countries. And so for us, we want to follow this because for all I know, we know that Epstein is gone, but does it mean that the ring is gone? Because of the sophistication in the way that this was set up, we need to make sure that we're not only fortifying our democracy here, but we need to make sure that there's not some cabal that is operating currently and still engaging in this type of behavior. And I think that is why it's so important that these survivors have come forward in this moment, because we don't know that it's not continuing to go on right now. We just know that Epstein is gone. We know that Maxwell is gone. But it wasn't just the two of them. And I think that that is why it is important that we review those files. And anyone that we feel like is involved, based on the files, based on the evidence, we feel like they need to come forward and speak to us.
Yeah, and that was one of the points that everyone who supported that, all the big leagues, all the big podcasters, right? All of the, all of those folks that were out there chiming about the Clintons and all of this stuff for years, and Kamala and Biden for years in their podcast, they were all talking about cabal, right? Cabal, Jewish cabal, whatever cabal, drinking baby blood, having sex with babies, sex with each other, all of this stuff. This is what they talked about. And you could go over the names. I mean, Rush Limbaugh is one of the ones that's been doing it for decades, right? Now, none of them have want anything to do with the Epstein files. It's almost like it's not even almost like, they did take an exact opposite approach now. Hands off the Epstein files. And this is what they have their troll minions. This is what they pay for. They got AI trolls out there, so they're more sophisticated than the old bots. You see what I mean? They can actually communicate, and follow a conversation, where the troll bots can't. They just come in and make comments like Trump 21, Trump 2028, shit that is just irrelevant, shit that they just throw out there, but the bots can think it's shit. But when you ask them what state do they come from and who is the healthcare provider, they can't answer that. You see what I mean? So it's crazy. It take a little time.
So Congressman Biggs came out and said that Maxwell's lawyer said that she had no indication that either President Trump or President Clinton were implicated in any wrongdoing. Wondering if you'd confirm that you heard that, but also how you evaluate that statement given some of the comments you're making about her clemency plea.
And we'll take your question and then we'll answer and wrap up.
I just wanted to ask what you all make of Congressman Comer's back and forth with the Clintons on closed-door tape deposition versus public testimony, and if you're worried that this might derail what's going on right now and lead Republicans back to pursuing contempt.
Yeah, on the Clintons and Trump, she did say that she is happy to talk on the record to confirm that there was no wrongdoing on their part. I think that is part of her campaign, again, to get a pardon and get support from both parties. That's why she's mentioning Clinton, too, as well. But they were very explicit on saying she'd love to talk on the record to absolve the Clintons and Trump.
I'd say about the back and forth part of things, Secretary Clinton made it clear. If you want to do this, let's do this out front and in the open, right? And it seems like they don't want that to happen, because what they want to do is they want to go behind closed doors and then come out with whatever spin that they want to put on it and have it be a he said, she said. I also do believe that this is yet another way of them trying to distract and hopefully trying to get Democrats to say, well, never mind, we don't want to talk about it if you're going to go after the Clintons. Again, for us, this is not about partisanship. This is right versus wrong. And frankly, we've not seen anything that would have made me believe that Secretary Clinton, of all people, should be coming in front of them in the first place. So this is about getting to the truth for us. And we understand that if there are names mentioned, that we should follow that evidence, but we do know that Comer is playing games, because if he really wanted to get to the bottom, you would start with the person that actually has the information, which would be Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi is the first person that should have came in front of our committee to answer questions about why it is that she violated our subpoena. Instead, he's ignoring her violation. And then once we ended up with the Epstein Transparency Act, she has violated the law as it relates to that. And he still doesn't have anything to say. So I want people to be very clear-eyed. They are playing games right now, and this is all about shielding and distracting from the President of the United States, who is absolutely mentioned in those files. And frankly, we know that he had already been sued prior to him ever entering office, where there were allegations that he sexually molested a child. This is on the record. Now, granted, the case didn't go through and whatever, but we know that the allegations were there before he even took office the first time.
Exactly. And it's not the only allegation at this point anymore. I mean, there's allegations that he actually had some little kids killed too, like straight up. So, and people heard about the one that is in Michigan on Lake Michigan. The police, I don't know if the police ever followed up on that or whatever, but they got a message in the FBI from a, supposed victim, right? But that's there on record. But then you have Sasha Riley, who said Trump molested him and several times at these parties where other adults that are in government also participated. He named Clarence Thomas as one. Jim Jordan, I believe, is another who's in Congress, and some others now. And these are horrific accounts. The accounts are horrific. So there's no going back. Those are public allegations. You see what I mean? And so if you can't prove that he didn't do it, you need to understand it's possible that he definitely did. And that's a danger to the country. That is a danger to everyone's life. If you're willing to kill little kids and torture little kids, you're willing to fucking kill anybody and torture anybody. And that's just what it is, Now, for those of you that have not heard Sasha Riley's accounts, I'm going to, let me pull those up real quick for people that haven't heard those, and then we're going to continue. I'm going to put it in the chat. Let me let them play out these congressional members here.
Very briefly, and just say this: the Clintons are cooperating. There are no grounds whatsoever at this point for any kind of contempt motion. Their deposition is scheduled, as far as anyone knows, it will occur. I just want to say this: the fact that Andy Biggs walked out of that room and delivered the message that Ghislaine Maxwell wanted was exactly what she wanted to send to Donald Trump. Clearly, he was acting as her messenger, because we were told explicitly to not repeat things that were said in that room. It's very clear she's campaigning for clemency, and it's very clear that Mr. Biggs delivered the message to Donald Trump. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. So if you hear right there, she said Mr. Biggs. Well, guess what? Sasha Riley, in these audio tapes right here, he says Biggs is a person who sexually assaulted him. Keep note of this. Jim Jordan is the person who had the hearing. He's the chairperson that had the hearing on Jack Smith. He's the one in the House that actually made that hearing happen. Jim Jordan and Sasha Riley. This is weeks ago. They were released about a month ago, these audio clips. He's been saying the story for over a year now, over the internet. Now he's been interviewed on audio, right? And he said that Jim Jordan molested him. Jim Jordan was the chair over the Jack Smith case. Now you heard them mention Mr. Biggs. Well, he said Mr. Biggs violently assaulted him when he was a child. Andy Biggs. Exactly. Look here. I'm going to put it in the chat for people and I'm not asking anybody to believe me. Don't believe my accounts of what I heard. I'm giving you and showing you, and I'm going to put the link into it so you can hear it yourself. I'm explicitly telling you, do not ever believe me ever for anything that I ever say. Hold me accountable. Only look at the information I'm providing. I don't want believers here. If you are a believer, leave. Leave. Okay? Just leave. Go somewhere else that doesn't require believing. So here is the and if you believe, you're a dumbass. Okay. So I would just say that, because this is about look shit up yourself. That's what I'm doing. I look shit up myself. Then I do a show on it. Okay. I'm not a believer. Okay. I didn't believe. I listened. Okay. I heard. I was willing to go through the information before doing anything about it. So you don't have to believe. All you got to do is take a look at it. Now here, Sasha Riley, and this is making the rounds. This is making the rounds. Said Trump, Biggs, and Jordan and Thomas molested. Hold on. Well, let me see. Assaulted him. This is what he said, and violently. We're not talking about just some some things that weren't the most vile accusations on earth. What he said Trump had little kids killed in these audio tapes in the late 80s, something like that. This is what he said. So now that it's there, Don't say that I'm lying when I say Sasha Riley said it, because Sasha Riley definitely said it out of his mouth, and it's definitely public, and Trump has definitely not sued him at all. You see, his lawyer hasn't told him to cease and desist. He got no cease and desist letters. This is public. Okay, so having said that, let's go over to let's go over to I'm sorry, I just had to clear. I got a little cold. Let's go over to the Maxwell deposition. Let's hear let's hear it for ourselves. Let's not believe that she pleaded the fifth. No need to believe that she pleaded the fifth. And no need to believe me when I say she pleaded the fifth, although it says she pleaded the fifth here. This is what the news is reporting. This is the damn news. Look, deposition, Ghislaine Maxwell on the pro. Okay, no. Well, everybody says, all the news outlets say she pleaded the fifth. You just heard them. The congressional members say she pleaded the fifth. Now, let's see if they lied. How about that?
This is a deposition of Ms. Ghislaine Maxwell conducted by the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform under the authority granted to it pursuant to House Rule 10. Accordingly, House Rule 10 grants the committee broad jurisdiction for the committee to conduct investigations.
She looks like a sociopath.
Of any matter at any time. On July 22nd, 2025, the Subcommittee on Government Operations of the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform voted by voice to approve a motion directing the chairman to authorize and issue a subpoena to Ghislaine Maxwell for a deposition. On July 23rd, 2025, Chairman Comer issued a subpoena for Ghislaine Maxwell to appear today for a deposition in furtherance of the committee's investigation into the actions and investigations of Mr. Jeffrey Epstein and Ms. Ghislaine Maxwell. I will enter the subpoena and corresponding cover letter as Exhibit 1. I will enter as Exhibit 2 a letter dated July 29th, 2025 from David Oscar Marcus, counsel for Ms. Maxwell, stating in short that his client would invoke her Fifth Amendment rights and request for the deposition to occur after the resolution of her Supreme Court petition. I will enter as Exhibit 3 a letter dated August 1st, 2025 from Chairman Comer to David Oscar Marcus, stating that the committee would continue its good faith negotiations and postpone Ms. Maxwell's deposition pending the resolution of her Supreme Court petition. I will enter as Exhibit 4 a letter dated January
Winter, I see you, Winter.
2025,
I see you.
From David Oscar Marcus to Chairman Comer, outlining that his client still intended to invoke her Fifth Amendment rights. The committee noticed today's deposition on February 4th, 2026. I will enter the notice for this deposition as Exhibit 5. Can the witness please state her name and spell her last name for the record?
Before she does that, this is David Marcus, and I just wanted to introduce her and make a brief statement. So members of the committee, on my advice, Ghislaine Maxwell will respectfully invoke her Fifth Amendment right to silence and decline to answer questions today, even though she would very much like to answer your questions. She must remain silent because Ms. Maxwell has a habeas petition currently pending that demonstrates her conviction rests on a fundamentally unfair trial. For example, jurors lied during voir dire to secure seats on the jury, and the government promised immunity and then broke that promise. Newly discovered.
Okay, so they're talking about this immunity thing again, which has already been proven to be a lie. There was no federal immunity. State immunity, yes, she couldn't be tried in Florida twice, but you're not allowed to give immunity federally across the board. That's just what it is. But you heard something interesting. She's claiming now the jurors, she's so again, there's a whole lot of flip-flopping going on here. Trump said that Epstein was, basically did it. He was a rotten guy. So if he was a rotten guy, then the lady who was helping him the whole time, is she not rotten? She was convicted by the testimony of the victims. So all the evidence that went in to that, was also going to go into the Jeffrey Epstein case before he just happened to die coincidentally, right? And and then here's the thing. Why doesn't the government just release the files? They say that they're doing it to protect the victims. But the victims say Ghislaine Maxwell is a perpetrator. So it appears that Trump is on both. The U.S. government right now is on both sides. They're claiming to be on the victim side, and they're claiming to be on Ghislaine Maxwell's side. Basically, I mean, they won't say they're claiming it, but they're doing it. They're doing it. Why? Because they're not shutting down her call for clemency. They're not shutting. The president is not doing that. He's the head of the executive branch. So anything he does is what the executive branch is doing. They are following his wishes and desires. They are not going against President Trump. See, an independent DOJ would not give a fuck about the president. But this is not an independent DOJ, because when they were sworn in by the Senate, they all said they're going to do what Trump tells them to do. That's what they said. They all said that. Everyone thought it was ludicrous, but indeed they're keeping to their word. So this is a simple case of, what do the American people deserve? Do you deserve wishy-washy on your tax dollar? Do you deserve just anything and whatever? Anytime somebody feels like doing something, they just do it according to what it looks like today, what's best for them today? Or do you deserve a consistent pattern here? Do you deserve justice yourself? I mean, this is even beyond the victims. It's like your tax dollars pay for these Epstein files to be hidden from you. What the fuck? What the fuck? She's not helping you by invoking the fifth. That's for damn sure. She's helping herself, right? She's helping herself. She's not helping any taxpayer. She's not helping any citizen gain any enlightenment about what went on. Blackmail, espionage, rape, murder. She's not helping any of that. That could have been your kids. That could have been your boy. That could have been your daughter. That could have been your niece, your nephew. You see what I'm saying? She's not helping with none of that. You see? So, but it's your tax dollars, though. You're the one that have the right to the Epstein files. It's your tax dollars paying for them to be kept away in a safe somewhere. So, I mean, is this fair to the American people? How much is her life? Is her life worth more than yours? Does her life mean more than anybody else's life? You see what I mean? So, yeah. Those are just questions I ask,
Documents now demonstrate these facts conclusively. If this committee and the American public truly want to hear the unfiltered truth about what happened, there is a straightforward path. Ms. Maxwell is prepared to speak fully and honestly if granted clemency by President Trump. Only she can provide a complete account.
Jazzy music.
And some may not like what they hear, but the truth matters. For example, both President Trump and President Clinton are innocent of any wrongdoing. Ms. Maxwell alone can explain why, and the public is entitled to hear that explanation. Thank you, members of the committee, for having us today. Ms. Maxwell can now proceed to answer her questions with.
She ain't answering any questions. He just said she's going. This is her lawyer. He just said she's going to be pleading the fifth, and he's like, she's welcome to answer any questions. Hello.
The Fifth Amendment. Thank you.
You hear that?
Hear that explanation. Thank you, members of the committee, for having us today. Ms. Maxwell can now proceed to answer her questions with the Fifth Amendment. Thank you.
Yeah, I plead the fifth. That's how she's answering her questions. So it wasn't a lie. I wasn't lying earlier when I said that. It's now a fact universally. In terms of whoever those trolls were in the chat earlier, this is a universal fact. She has been instructed to plead the fifth. Now, the only thing left is to watch. How much is this? Watch 20 minutes of her plead the fifth to make sure that she didn't answer one goddamn question. That's the only thing left. Okay, that's the only little gray area left, And I don't know if I'm going to listen to all 20 minutes of this shit, but some of the questions are good. We're going to listen to the questions. The questions will be excellent to know.
Her name and spell her last name for the record.
Ghislaine Noel Marion Maxwell. Maxwell.
Thank you.
Damn.
My name is Jack Emmer, and I am the chief counsel. Whoa. Please state her name and spell her last name for the record.
Ghislaine Noel Marion Maxwell. Maxwell.
The grandmama who will kill your kids.
Thank you. My name is Jack Emmer, and I am the chief counsel for investigations for Chairman Comer. Under the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform's rules, you are allowed to have a counsel present to advise you during this deposition. You have a counsel representing you in a personal capacity present with you today.
Correct.
Will counsel please identify themselves for the record?
Go ahead, Leah. You can go first.
Leah Safian, LeahSaffian.
Thank you, Jack. This is David Marcus here, and my colleague Melissa Madrigal is also present.
Thank you. For the record, starting with the majority staff, can the additional staff members please introduce themselves with their name, title, and affiliation? Starting with the majority, can members of Congress please identify themselves for the record?
James Cover, Chairman of the House Oversight Committee. Andy Biggs, Arizona, 15th Congressional District.
William Simmons, South Carolina, 4th Congressional District.
Melanie Stanford, Congresswoman, New Mexico, First Congressional District.
Raja Krishnamurthy, Illinois 8th District.
James Walkinshaw, Virginia's 11th District.
Suhas Silverline, Virginia's 10th District.
Ro Khanna, California, 17th District.
Robert Garcia, Ranking Member, Oversight.
Thank you all. Ms. Maxwell, before we begin, I would like to go over the ground rules for this deposition. The questioning will proceed in rounds. The majority will ask questions for an hour, and then the minority will have an opportunity to ask questions for an hour if they choose. To the extent members have questions for the witness, they will be propounded during their side's respective rounds. The clock will stop if you need to confer with counsel. Your counsel is speaking, and when members or staff are speaking during the opposing side's rounds of questions. We will alternate back and forth until there are no more questions. Do you understand?
Look at that. Whoa, look at this deep breath she took. I want to see. I know this guy who does the forensic analysis and he does his commentary on body language, right? I want to see him do cover this hearing. But look at her she just took a deep ass breath right there. That's really hard to ignore when they asked her, is she ready? That's interesting. She didn't just say, yeah, I'm ready. It doesn't seem like she's calm at all. Look at this.
And when members or staff are speaking during the opposing side's rounds of questions.
And to be honest, her body language to me is very, very stiff. She reminds me of a dead man walking, to be honest. Like, she reminds me of a dead man walking, like something more than usual seems to be going on. I mean, just her body language. If you ask me, yeah, because look, I put it to you this way. If you know you didn't do shit, you would want to speak. You would want to speak to the public to get your point across, to get the public to know, because this is your chance. You're not just speaking to Congress. You're speaking to the whole world. This is your chance to convince the whole world that they got the wrong lady, right? And instead, right, she's nervous about this. That's weird. That's weird. She's already in a cushy cell, but she's nervous about this. You see what I'm saying? So now look when they ask her question. I mean, look at this. Are you ready?
Alternate back and forth until there are no more questions. Do you understand?
I do.
You see that? She just moved her arms, like took a breath. You see that? That's weird.
During the opposing side's rounds of questions. We will alternate back and forth until there are no more questions. Do you understand?
You see that deep breath? Like, she just like to me, I don't know what's going on there, but yeah.
And stop if you need to confer with counsel. Your counsel is speaking, and when members or staff are speaking during the opposing side's rounds of questions. We will alternate back and forth until there are no more questions. Do you understand?
I do.
There is a court reporter taking down everything.
What's up, Michael? I see you.
Everything you say to make a written
Lou, what's
record
up?
for the interview. For the record to be clear, please wait until the staffer questioning you finishes each question before you begin your answer, and the staffer will wait until you finish your response before proceeding to the next question. Further, to ensure the court reporter can properly record this deposition, please speak clearly, concisely, and slowly. Also, the court reporter cannot record nonverbal answers such as nodding or shaking your head. So it is important that you answer each question with an audible verbal answer. Do you understand?
I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth.
We had a member just join.
F-I-F. I plead the fifth.
They identify themselves for the record.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5th.
Thank you. Exhibits may be entered into the record. Majority exhibits will be identified numerically. Minority exhibits will be identified alphabetically. Do you understand?
Lou, thank you.
I do.
We want you to answer our questions in the most complete and truthful manner possible, so we will take our time. If you have any questions or do not fully understand the question, please let us know. We will attempt to clarify, add context to, or rephrase our questions. If we ask about specific conversations or events in the past and you are unable to recall the exact words or details, you should testify to the substance of those conversations.
You know what? Her body language, she is giving off serious criminal felon, vibes right here. Like, seriously. I mean, if I was sitting in front of her, I would be fucking nervous. I have to say that because the way her energy is given off is like she's capable of fucking over anybody, man. I don't know. That's just how it's hitting me. It's not hitting me like this is a nice person at all. Like, seriously, there's nothing. I don't get even that she's like crying for herself. You see what I mean? And that's very important. Like, when you're dealing with people, do they seem like they have empathy even for the situation they're in or anything? She's not giving off none of that, like nothing.
Or events, the best of your recollection. If you recall only a part of a conversation or event, you should give us your best recollection of those events or parts of conversations that you do recall. Do you understand?
I do.
You are required by law to answer questions from Congress truthfully. This also applies to questions posed by congressional staff in this deposition. Do you understand?
I do.
If at any time you knowingly make false statements, you could be subject to criminal prosecution, including but not limited to perjury. Do you understand?
I do.
I don't, you know what? Tay, I see you. You saying that if they pressed her, she would talk. But I know one thing for sure. Well, I feel like it in any case. The right people get their hands on her ass, they will get the truth out of her. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you really want the truth, it ain't going to be none of this plead the fifth. It's going to be like, okay, put her hand on the table. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Start bashing limbs. And, really, I'm telling you that, in reality, somebody knows the truth. Someone's going to get the truth out of her ass. Someone's going to get the truth out of her. It ain't going to be the U.S. government, though. It appears. And if it is, it ain't going to be just it's going to be a CIA operation in another country at a later point. But it ain't going to be right now. You know what I'm saying? But somebody will get the truth, because asking her shit, nah. You can get the truth out of her, though. But, yeah, this soft gloves ain't going to do it. It ain't going to do it.
This includes both knowingly providing false testimony, but also stating that you do not recall or remember something when in fact you do. Do you understand?
I do.
Furthermore, you cannot tell half-truths or exclude information necessary to make statements accurate. You are required to provide all information that would make your response truthful. A deliberate failure to disclose information can constitute as a false statement. Do you understand?
I do.
Is there any reason you are unable to provide truthful testimony in today's interview?
Well, as you know, she's going to take the Fifth Amendment. So that's our caveat to that question.
Please note that if you wish to assert a privilege or any statement today, that assertion must comply with the rules of the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. Pursuant to that, Committee Rule 16C1 states, for the chair to consider assertions of privilege over testimony or statements, witnesses or entities must clearly state the specific privilege being asserted and the reason for the assertion on or before the scheduled date of testimony or appearance. For the purposes of the deposition, objections must be stated concisely and in a non-argumentative and non-suggestive manner. If the witness refuses to answer a question to preserve a privilege, the committee may seek a ruling from the chair. If the chair overrules any such objection, the witness shall be ordered to answer. If the witness
I don't know how many of y'all caught that. She just took another deep breath. She's not expending any energy, and she's taking some serious deep breaths right there. Look at this. There's something, obviously she, this, to me, it's, I'm just trying to understand what the mindset of what's going on right here. Like, if she knows she's taking the fifth, then she knows that she's going to help Trump. This is what Trump wants. She knows she's not helping the liberals. That's for sure. She knows that too by taking the fifth, right? Because the liberals then dragged her ass, I'm just saying, quote unquote, for the MAGA people, the liberals, but the liberals then dragged her ass out here, you know what I'm saying? After she kicked and said, no, I ain't never going to do it. I won't talk to them, Mr. Trump, and then she talked to Trump behind closed doors and gave him whatever Todd Blanche asked her for. It's obvious what's going on here, right? But having said that, if you know you're pleading the fifth, why do you have to be so nervous about it? But I'm just saying, is she purposely trying to send the message out that something's wrong? Like, what is that what's going on here? Like, is she trying to send it out, the message that she's terribly nervous? Is that what she's doing? Cause she's taking some deep ass breaths. They seem very, very obvious. Like, look at this. It's not even an attempt to hide it.
Testimony or statements. Witnesses or entities must clearly state the specific privilege being asserted and the reason for the assertion on or before the scheduled date of testimony or appearance. For the purposes of the deposition, objections must be stated concisely and in a non-argumentative and non-suggestive manner. If the witness refuses to answer a question to preserve a privilege, the committee may seek a ruling from the chair. If the chair overrules any such objection, the witness shall be ordered to answer.
See?
If the witness continues to refuse to answer a question despite being ordered to do so, the witness may be subject to sanction. Do you understand?
I do.
Ordinarily, we take a 5-minute break at the end of each hour of questioning.
Yeah, maybe that's the look of, she knows she's going to fry either way. Like, she knows it's not going to end well for her. Maybe that's just what it is. I mean, but Trump could pardon her, and I believe Trump's going to pardon her. Like, Trump is out of here. He's not going to last. I mean, he's a fighter though. He's a perv. He fights, like he fights like, like like, I don't understand why Trump even fights. You got to be crazy to want to be his age and taking all this battering and stay in office, and you're the laughing stock of the world. Like, that doesn't go over well. At least people liked Biden. You know what I'm saying? Nobody likes that. Everybody's laughing at Trump's ass. I mean, even a MAGA person can't miss that one and shit. You may not like Biden. You may have hated Kamala, but the world didn't laugh at them. People are literally laughing at Trump. He is known to be the stooge outside of the U.S., outside of MAGA. He's known to be the stooge of the United States. You know what I mean? Like, you can't go out harder than that. And she is here keeping, bearing his water, keeping their secret. They were there. They know things that nobody else could know that wasn't present. You got victims saying with their truth, talking about what they witnessed, and yet they won't talk about what they witnessed.
But if you need a longer break or a break before that, please let us know, and we will be happy to accommodate.
Oh, good looking out, Gary. Appreciate that, Gary.
If there is a pending question, we would ask that you finish answering the question before we take the break. Do you understand?
I do.
Finally, I will note for everyone here today that the contents of what we discussed in the deposition today is confidential under the House deposition regulation. Under the rules, the chairman and ranking member, minority member shall consult before any release of testimony or transcripts, including portions thereof. This means it is a violation of House committee rules to disclose the contents of the deposition prior to its official release. For this reason, the marked exhibits that we will use today will remain with the court reporter so that they can go into the official transcript, and any copies of those exhibits will be kept at the table or returned to us when we wrap up. Can the reporter please swear in the witness?
Do you solemnly declare and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Madam Court Reporter, we could not hear you well, and I'm sure Miss Maxwell could not hear you. I don't know if there's a way to give the court reporter a mic so that, thank you very much.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly declare and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Yeah, another deep breath.
Ms. Maxwell, do you have any questions before we begin?
I do not.
You know, yeah.
Time reads.
To me, it's coming off like she knows she's finished either way. Like, you know, and that I'm very curious about that. I mean, I guess it's pretty obvious because if any of the things are true that people have said about Trump, then he's a very dangerous man that has hurt a lot of people. And so she's got to, knowing that he's the president, you know, because this ain't the same. Like, this is not back in Florida, you know, and what has been alleged of those days in the 80s and 90s, Trump has been alleged to have been a dangerous motherfucker, like straight up, just dangerous, off the hinges criminality back then. Right. We talking about mob boss, worse. You know, we talking about like, you know, something else worse than a mob, because a mob, you know, but the worst case, let's say the most extreme type of mob, right? That's what he's kind of known for, according to the victims, right? But she's got to know that. And now this motherfucker is president. I mean, what could be worse? What could be worse than a dude off the hinges mob type back then end up as president? So maybe that's just what it is. Like, the lady's probably scared out of her goddamn mind. And I don't think I haven't figured out yet myself why she would live long, because the bottom line is that she has secrets about a lot of people. And whether Trump gives her her pardon or not, you know, other people might be worried that she will talk also. You see what I mean? So maybe that's what it is. But in any case, I'm not trying to make her a victim or anything. She's definitely, but she's giving off dead man walking vibes, if you ask me. Like, it's something,
14,
she ain't having fun.
Majority's time will begin now. Ms. Maxwell.
Or she's very good at hiding something, you know, very good at manipulating. That could also be the case, because she's a sociopath. So this could all be, you know, she could fool my ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously.
Were you a close friend and confidant of Jeffrey Epstein?
I would like to answer your question, but on the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question and any related questions. My habeas petition is pending in the Southern District of New York. I therefore invoke my right to silence under the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
Let the record reflect that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, did you at any time play any role in Jeffrey Epstein's activities involving the recruitment, grooming, or trafficking of young women or girls?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Let the record reflect that.
I mean, so she didn't take the stand in her own trial. Epstein, he also took this Fifth Amendment thing, right? You know, when he was sat in a deposition. At no point, I mean, this is the simplest question. Did you participate in the activities or not? It's child sex trafficking. And she ain't even answer that. Think about how deep that is, that she can't just come out of the mouth and say she didn't, you know? And I guess it's because if she does, then her Fifth Amendment rights don't apply anymore, and they're able to follow up on that questioning, you know? But you know, just the fact, it doesn't look good to not be able to answer that question, you know? So, and look, she took another deep breath. You could see her, and she's moving her arms like this when she's taking a deep breath. Like, that's a sign of a lot of tension. You know, when you have to physically move your body to take a deep breath, You know, like
anytime play any role in Jeffrey Epstein's activities involving the recruitment, grooming, or trafficking of young women or girls.
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Let the record reflect that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, have you ever coerced, directed, or otherwise instructed any young woman or girl to provide sexual favors to Mr. Epstein or any other individual?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Let the record reflect that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination.
I mean, it's as good as saying yes. Yes, I have. You know, I mean, that's basically how it's coming off. Yes, and therefore I'm not going to answer. You know, I mean, you know, yes, it's so obvious. It's so obvious. You know what I mean? What could saying no, I have not, what harm could that do? What harm could it do? You know, you have to wonder that. Like, what is the harm? But she's not taking that route. She's taking the fifth. You know, she's taking the fifth. You know, yeah.
Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, did you and Jeffrey Epstein attempt to surround yourselves with influential individuals to curry favor and shield yourselves from potential scrutiny?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
That means they did. They intentionally did that. That's crazy. I mean, yeah. But everyone knew that anyway. But she's affirming it basically through taking the fifth. She's not willing to say no. That's not true.
Record reflect that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, can you please provide us with all the names of other additional co-conspirators to the crimes perpetuated by you and Jeffrey Epstein?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Let the record reflect that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth
Words, she's not snitching on nobody.
Self-incrimination. Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, is it your intention to answer every question?
Oh, hold on. Let me make that a little bigger. So I see somebody said her right lip is quivering. Let me see something here. I wouldn't be I wouldn't be surprised, but it is a good idea to blow her face up bigger since she's just sitting here. There's no movement, so we may as well get a very, very close look at her face while she does this.
Put to you by the committee today with the let the record reflect that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination.
You see that? You see that? She's taking like big breaths. I know I keep saying that, but these are breaths. You got to think about this. She's sitting down. She's not exerting any energy. She doesn't need that much oxygen in her lungs to participate. But why wouldn't there be enough oxygen in her lungs? It's obviously because physical tension. You know, she's tensed up so much that she have to move her body to get air in her lungs. Like, you know, I mean, but she's a sociopath. So she might be doing this on purpose. You know, like sociopaths will fucking do this.
Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, is it your intention to answer every question put to you by the committee today with the assertion of your Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
The answer to that is yes also. So just as her lawyer, I'll tell you, yes, that's her intention.
Does the minority wish to ask any questions? we will go off the record.
Yeah, Jazzy says, Miss Maxwell, did you traffic Melania 2D to Donald Trump? Yes or no? Answer the question. Hostile. Stop it. Answer the question, damn it. Your Honor, make her answer the question. That's what we all want to know. All the rest of this shit, she could plead the fifth to. I don't care about. You know what I'm saying? We know the answer to it anyway.
The record.
Okay, somebody said the chat. I see. Someone said the chat is in her face now. All right, let me. I'm gonna make one of these large, and then I'm gonna take off my camera. Maybe that'll help. And then how about this? And then we can just go between this one and the other one. All right, so let's go. Hopefully that helps.
Morning, Ms. Maxwell. My name is
Good morning.
Morning. My name is.
Yeah, okay, they redacted the name.
Questions on behalf of the minority as well. At any point during your personal relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, were you aware that Mr. Epstein was sexually abusing minors and adult women?
I would like to answer your question, but on the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question and any related questions. My habeas petition is pending in the Southern District of New York. I therefore invoke my right to silence under the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
Have you ever facilitated the sexual abuse of any minor or adult woman by Mr. Epstein?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Have you ever participated in the sexual abuse of any minor or adult woman?
I'm going to pause this real quick. Take a look at this. Y'all saw the question in the chat from look at this. Terrell Jackson 15 says, y'all assuming because she pleaded the fifth, let the evidence speak, no assumptions. Well, let's let the evidence speak. That's a good idea. Let's let the evidence speak and check this out. Here is the evidence. Here's the evidence. Terrell Jackson joined February 6, 2026. So you are right, Terrell. Congratulations, you asshole. We will let the evidence speak. Yes, we will let the evidence speak. Here you go. Here's the evidence. So thank you, troll. Trolling ass. We will let the evidence speak, Terrell. Good advice. Now let's continue.
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Are you aware of Donald Trump ever engaging in sexual activity with an individual introduced to him by you or Jeffrey Epstein?
Welcome, troll. Welcome.
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Okay. It appears that the committee will not receive substantive answers from you at this deposition. So at this point, I'd like to enter into the record as minority exhibits A and B, letters that the committee has received from survivors of Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell's abuse. These letters speak to the survivors' horrific experiences and to their desires for transparency, accountability, and justice in this investigation.
Yeah, look at that. I just got to rewind that. Her body language is almost more important than the questions. It's like, how does her body react to the questions? And look at this, why he's asking this question here. Watch this.
Right to silence.
Okay. It appears that the committee will not receive substantive answers from you at this deposition. So at this point, I'd like to enter into the record as minority exhibits A and B, letters that the committee has received from survivors of Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell's abuse. These letters speak to the survivors' horrific experiences and to their desires for transparency.
You see that? You see that? You see, she is like the victims. You see that? I mean, not verbatim, but she doesn't like the fact that they're about to read stuff from the victims. It's an inconvenience to her. So she is, what is she trying to, what is her, what message is she trying to give off there, that she doesn't believe Jeffrey Epstein is guilty of anything? Like, is that what she's trying to say? Or is it that, here she has to listen to this again? I mean, that's sociopathic shit right there. Like, she doesn't care about none of those victims, even the people that could have been, hurt when she wasn't around. You see what I mean? Like that's what I would be thinking, because if she claims to have not been around all the time or doesn't know everything, or then why wouldn't she consider the fact that maybe some other people were hurt? But she's not even trying to hear any of it. She doesn't know what victim they talking about. She has no idea, but that was her body language before while they asked her the question. Look at this.
Minority Exhibits A and B, letters that the committee has received from survivors of Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell's abuse. These letters speak to the survivors' horrific experiences and to their desires for transparency, accountability, and justice in this investigation. We hope for their sake that we are ultimately able to get the answers that they deserve and that we were unable to get here today. Finally, I'd like to enter into the record as Minority Exhibit C, a letter from Representative Ro Khanna dated February 8th, 2026. And with that, we can go off the record.
Yeah, it seems to me like she's a person of privilege, of class, and nobody else is. Like none of the rest of us are, by the way. None of us are in that class group, right? So, if we were caught up in the same situation, think about that. Think about how different it would be for us, right? But in this situation, she's being asked on camera about, victims, and she knows she's about to hear victims' own words, right? She's inconvenienced. She's giving off this, do I have to hear this again? She's been given carte blanche. Like she's getting DoorDash. She got sent to the cushy, picnic prison where you get to hang out. No bars. You just walk around as you want, like a college dormitory. Essentially, she got a puppy dog she can grab and walk around. She can have picnics and lemonade every fucking day. Like seriously. And then when she has to listen to the victims, she shrugs it off like, like, yo, like, yeah. It's just seems like that's not a good response. I mean, think of yourself as the victim and seeing her like shrug it off. Like, just let's say this is true, and for sure this is true. Everything that they alleged about her and Epstein, and even worse. Let's say you're one of those people and you see this behavior from her, right? That has got to be chilling, because that she has already been telling people that they own. This is what they were telling the victims in the 90s. This is what the victims in Florida said. They kept telling them that we own the police, we own the DA, and we own the FBI. That's what they were telling them. That's why many of them didn't come forward so easily, because they knew nothing would happen. So just put that in your mind when when you watch her body language when they're talking about the victims again. This is crazy, she don't give a fuck, Rodney. Like, I mean, this is the first woman that scared my ass. It's not many women that could scare me. She scared my ass. Like, she's giving me vibes, like vibes like it's either me or her. Like, what I'm saying? Like, because I know damn well she don't care about about life. She's giving off that energy,
We'll go back on the record. Ms. Maxwell, considering your invocation of your Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination pursuant to the terms of the subpoena, you are excused.
Oh, wow.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Chairman Comer. Appreciate you.
Thank you. We'll go off the record.
What do y'all think that is about? Like, they brought her here. It took so long to get her there, right?
Yeah, come in.
Yeah, and that is really, really telling, if you ask me. Like, what do y'all think that's about? Why is it that they didn't keep her and just talk about the victims? I didn't hear one thing. Did y'all hear anything about the victims? I didn't hear one thing about no victims, right? I didn't hear them say anything about a victim so far. I'm not understanding that. Like, to me, let me just pull that back and just review the last part one more time. I just thought that was really, really weird. People waited for time for this, right? Let's see it. Let's see this one more time. I just want to make sure I heard right. Here we go. Let's go.
Ultimately able to get the answers that they deserve and that we were unable to get here today. Finally, I'd like to enter into the record as Minority Exhibit C, a letter from Representative Ro Khanna dated February 8th, 2026. And with that, we can go off the record.
Okay. So they went off the record. That's what it is, y'all. Okay, so they went off the record. So
We'll
there's
go back on the record. Ms. Maxwell, considering your invocation of your Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination pursuant to the terms of the subpoena, you are excused.
So they don't let us know. The public is not going to hear that part. We don't know how long it lasted. It could have lasted a half an hour. It could have lasted an hour. It could have lasted 10 minutes. We don't know. It could have lasted 2 minutes, right? So obviously, here, let me refer back to this one where they talk about it. Jasmine Crockett talks in the end about what happened, her refusal to speak, and what they did here privately, right? Because they heard some things that they're not allowed to reveal until this deposition, all the notes are released. Like, they're not allowed to talk about what they heard in that private part. You see what I'm saying? So let me just revert back to this.
Was another episode in her long-running campaign for clemency from President Trump. And President Trump could end that today. He could rule out clemency for Ghislaine Maxwell, the monster. He could rule out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell, the monster. The question for all of us today is, why hasn't he done that, and why won't he do that?
Is there a conspiracy of silence?
Hold on. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague from the Commonwealth of Virginia, Suhas Subramanian.
Thank you. Just to reiterate, Ghislaine Maxwell should have no hope of ever getting out of prison. But today, she, through her lawyer, explicitly stated that she wants to be out of prison through a clemency that this president would grant. And she's campaigning over and over again to get that pardon from President Trump. And this president has not ruled it out. And so that is why she's continuing to not cooperate with our investigation. The reality is that she is a monster. She should be behind bars. She should stay there. She should answer our questions, but she is not willing to do so because she is looking for that pardon and looking to absolve any people related to this administration. So we will continue to call for this president to completely rule out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell. I'm going to hand it over now to the representative from Texas, Ms. Crockett.
Thank you so much. Listen, as an attorney, I was wondering exactly where all we were going with her planning to invoke the Fifth Amendment. You know, Fifth Amendment is about self-incrimination. We all know that she has been finally convicted. She has exhausted all of her appeals. But they've decided to file a writ of habeas corpus. In my opinion, they have filed this writ of habeas corpus just to use it as an excuse to not answer more questions because, again, we know that she's a monster. We know that a jury was able to listen to all of the evidence and find that she should be found guilty. And even Donald Trump's Supreme Court, which that is saying a lot, even his Supreme Court has decided to affirm every single thing that took place on the trial level. So the fact that this woman is continuing to invoke the Fifth Amendment tells us exactly what my colleagues have already stated. She is a monster. She does not care. She has no remorse. She is not seeking to bring about some kind of closure for these women. She doesn't care. And frankly, it seems like this administration overall does not care. All they care about is protecting the powerful and protecting pedophiles. They will do anything to distract from that, including deciding to put up in the middle of Black History Month the most racist thing that we've ever seen come out of a White House. But I am here to tell you that House Democrats, specifically on the Oversight Committee and the Judiciary Committee, as we do have Pam Bondi coming before us here in a minute, we will not be deterred. We will not be distracted. We know who it is that needs to be held accountable, and we will go in and we will make sure that we continue to dig. This will not stop us because his co-conspirator decided that she was going to try to play games with us this morning. I got news for you, Ms. Maxwell. We're not done. We're going to continue to go. And it is my hope that this court resolves this sham of a I don't even know what to call it, this scam of a maneuver that she has filed in court. That is what we will call it. We hope that that is resolved quickly and we can bring her on back since we're not physically moving her. She's still in her cushy jail cell down in Texas. We will bring her back so that she can answer questions and hopefully finally start to answer questions truthfully. And now I'm going to pass it over
hold on.
to my good friend out of New Mexico.
Let me see. Did she say she was calling her back?
We hope that that is resolved quickly and we can bring her on back since we're not physically moving her. She's still in her cushy jail cell down in Texas.
Okay, so she's saying that this motion, she used this excuse, this Fifth Amendment thing, saying that she still has this thing before the court, this issue before the court. The court has to rule whether this was fair or not. Then she might try to go back to the Supreme Court to have them, if the lower court, Supreme Court, doesn't rule in her favor, she might try to get the Supreme Court to take it up again. But they already said once that they didn't want to take the matter up. Now, so the idea is that matter can get resolved in the lower courts, and she can realize, hey, you don't have, this is your last option. Do you want one more time to tell the public the truth? Or is it, you're just going to wait in jail for Donald Trump? And she's probably going to wait in jail. You know what I'm saying? Like, why wouldn't she? Right. She's hoping to get, she knows this guy. Obviously, her and Trump know each other. They are friends, and that you can't deny. They knew each other for a long time, right? And so you got to look at it through that lens. Like, these are friends that are caught up in a criminal RICO case, as somebody else said earlier, RICO style conspiracy, right? So they're not going to snitch on each other, right? But not right now, but also what goes along with RICO cases. I mean, whoever does the snitching is probably going to have to hide. Who people are probably hiding from Trump. That's what it sounds like to me. Like, if she snitches on Trump, she could run. I mean, of course, you could expect. Here's a question I got. This is interesting. Let's say she does get the pardon, right? Let's say she gets the pardon. Is she safe? Is her life safe if she gets a pardon? Where will she go? Because just because you're not going to snitch on Trump, like, once you get the pardon, you can do anything you want. Once you get the pardon, you can do anything you want. She's free to talk all she wants. And that's probably why Trump doesn't want to give her the pardon so fast, right? That's got to be, follow me. If he suspects that she would talk if she got a pardon, then obviously he's going to drag this out to the last second, right? That's what it seems like to me. And he's got to know that once he gives her a pardon, she don't need his ass anymore, right? Outside of, she can run to wherever she wants to run to. Now, where would she run to? She might run to Russia, but they could, if it is true, if Russia is involved in this honeypot, they would kill her ass. They would accept her and kill her. So she probably wouldn't run to Russia, right? That's possible that she would. Would she run to Israel? I don't know. But if she's, wouldn't they want to finish her too? To wrap this story up? You see what I'm saying? Isn't she like a missing link? You see what I'm saying? She's more like the missing link. The rest of them have already, they know they can trust Trump. They know Trump ain't saying shit because Trump has gone far long, just beyond to show them where his loyalties lie, right? Who should she be loyal to? Who should Ghislaine Maxwell be loyal to? You see what I mean? I just don't see why there's something there for her to be loyal to, because she's already spent this time in jail. They didn't rescue her. The system, the Supreme Court didn't get her out of jail. Nobody got her out. No one's gotten her out. So who should she be loyal to? So I think she probably knows she's a dead woman. Like, to me, that's what I would logically get out of this. Like, she knows she ain't going to make it. I mean, of course, this is just a hypothesis, what I'm throwing out there, right? But, if I was to go and probe the different lanes that this, and how this could go down, who has interest in this, who doesn't have interest in this, to me, it seems like, yeah, she's in a tough situation. Now, look, I dropped the link for those of you that want to hop up on Discord and say a few words Let me see here. Daryl says no, she'll end up like her buddy. I mean, yeah, you know what I'm saying? It seemed like it to me. I mean, there's a possibility anyway. And at least we asking the question, who should her loyalties lie with? I think that's ultimately what this is going to come down to. The outcome is going to speak to that. And if people determine that, yeah, man, her loyalty should be to herself because, you know, after all, we didn't get her out of jail. We didn't spare her. I mean, putting her in a cushy cell after 5 years is not, you know, is not necessarily getting her out. You see what I mean? It's not living life. She's not getting younger in there. So, yeah. But who knows? Who knows? Did y'all see the link? Let me put the Discord link in here again. Discord, for anybody that wants to hop up, I'm going to check it out right now and see who's there. And Pam Bondi. Now, Pam Bondi is scheduled to appear tomorrow, right? For folks that don't know, February 11th, right? And then on the 14th, also another big thing that's coming out. On the 14th of February, the economic data is coming out from the U.S. government on several fronts, several departments, several, you know. So that's going to have a big implications for the stock market. I'm doing the live on Friday about the stock market, about investments. So those of you that want to check out the programming, then look for that. It's the next live I have scheduled. That's for the 13th. I believe that's the 13th, Friday. And I'll be following that up. But I want to give some advice about the stock market before that economic data is released, right? Some interesting tidbits, things that's going on, changes in the international world regarding trade, which you might want to take a look at. Me too. I'm going to be taking a look at it. So if any of y'all have some tips for me too, feel free to share them because, you know, once the EU's economic data is already out, the U.S. has stalled it like 2 weeks or something like that. So the 14th is coming up. It will be out unless they delay it again. But it's very likely it's going to have ramifications. You're going to see this play out in the stock market. So those of you that got a few coins or whatever and got your apps at your banks that allow you to buy your own stocks through your bank, you know what I'm saying? You might want to watch the programming or whatever other app you do. But in any case, let me check the Discord now and see who's in the waiting room. All right, I don't see nobody in the waiting room. Let me double check here. Nope. I don't see anybody in the waiting room. Let me do this one more time. I'm going to throw it out one more time, and then I'm going to call it a day. I will be back. Here we go. Let's see here. Discord. Let's see here. Let me see here. Discord link to hop up. Yeah, now let me take a look. Something else here. Yeah, let me see. Okay. Yeah, I don't see anybody in the chat. So, yo, it's if y'all good, let me do one more little other thing here. This synopsis. Let me see here. Okay, so focus on the testimony she expected to face. Okay, no. That was in the past. Oh, somebody hopped up. Hold on 1 second. Hold on.
I hopped up.
Yo, Tay.
Yes?
You there? I can hear you. I can hear your background now.
Okay, yeah, it was me, my bad. I was trying to say something. Oh my lord. It was hard to join.
Okay.
Okay. So, I don't know. I was gonna make like maybe 3 quick opinions. And I was gonna say that like Donald Trump, I don't think like even if she get that pardon like we was discussing, I really think that she gonna end up like dead. Because first she's like the person who has the most information. And just because, like you said, she shuts up now doesn't mean that later, you know, they just gonna forget about her. She's gonna always be like a liability to these groups of people who did gross stuff. So, and they already have like prejudices against women anyway. So I really think they're gonna just wipe her off.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a possibility. And let me see here. Somebody said Tune 3 said, no, not Tune 3. Who was this? Rafika said the book deal she's going to get. Oh, maybe she get. I don't know if she can do that. I don't know if people are going to just so easily allow it. But yeah, she might be able to do it if she skips town but it's going to be hard to collect that money in the US or I think in the EU because they're finished with her. Like they don't want her having any connection, any businesses, anything, because again, they taking this stuff serious, and you can't just help a person that has been doing operations against your own government and putting your own country at stake. The EU ain't playing around with Elon Musk. They ain't playing around with Epstein. They ain't playing around with Ghislaine Maxwell. They're not playing around with this. So I think it's going to be hard for her to get that book deal and to really benefit. But then you never know. But look, let's just look at it like this. She definitely likely has money waiting for her already. So that's a big possibility that maybe she does have this question of loyalty. Maybe there is a reason to shut up. Maybe there is a nice cushy package for her, but I can't imagine everybody being happy about her walking around. I can't. That's a lot of people. Yeah. So yeah. Go ahead. I feel you.
And I don't know. I really think that with everything that's going on, I don't think that the president is like realistically gonna last either. Because
You talking about Trump? You talking about Trump?
Yeah.
Okay.
Trump. I don't think that he's gonna last either. Honestly, how it's going, I really do feel like other countries might even raid the evidence and stuff because it's getting to the point where everyone is acknowledging this. And I mean, at first, really, I thought people would forget about since they distract us with social media. I thought people would be like, oh, well, we're gonna take this and then we're gonna forget it, whatever, But it's like a lot of people making this into a critical aspect, and it is. So for some reason, I do think that Trump will not last, and they're gonna tear each other apart, trying to hide up,
yeah, there's a possibility. Yeah, I hear you. Because there's a lot of loose ends. There's a lot of ends. Well, there's a lot of ends to meet to make this shit stay together happily. To make this a happily ever after story, it's a lot for Ghislaine Maxwell. It's a lot of ends that have to meet, basically, and it's so it's yeah. But she don't look too comfortable. She doesn't look comfortable
at all.
Yeah, and I'm just curious about that because let's say obviously she's a sociopath, right? So she's hurt little kids, and she's been convicted of that, and but it seems like she was still nervous as a sociopath. That's weird. I thought that was weird.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious. But it's going to be good to get some body analysis done from her by some experts. So I'm going to follow up with that. But let me look at the chat here. Jazzy says, Jazzy Jazz Music says, V, didn't her dad die broke? Oh, didn't her dad die broke?
I think they killed him. Didn't they kill him?
He died in a suspicious boat trip out in somewhere in the world. Let me dig that up. He died on a boat. So he drowned, right? Let me see here.
Yeah.
How did Maxwell's dad die, and did he die broke? You gotta just ask it how it is. Yeah, he died on a fishing expedition, I think. In a boat. They say it's suspicious, people say it's suspicious, and obviously if you're out on a boat, not a lot of people around to see you die, right?
Yeah.
So to me it sounds like if I know I'm dealing with some shady people, you ain't gonna get my ass out on a boat. Let's take a trip. Let's take a trip, V. Let's take a boat ride.
Yeah. I don't know.
I won't be going on that boat ride. No.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Not out on the sea like that. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, people got binoculars and shit, but how many people gonna be eyeing at you that day? Look at this. Okay, so it says Robert Maxwell's death and the subsequent discovery of his financial situation remain one of the most significant corporate scandals in British history. This is what they're saying. Significant corporate scandals in British history. So that's a note. Okay, how he died. Robert Maxwell died on November 5th, 1991. Damn, I was 21. Shit. his naked body was found. Damn, naked body? What the hell? His naked body was found floating in the Atlantic Ocean near the Canary Islands, miles away from his luxury yacht, the Lady Ghislaine. Listen, I'm just telling you, a lot of this stuff, reads poetically in some kind of weird way. Like, this guy dies on a boat named after his daughter. Okay. Maxwell, Epstein names his airplane the Lolita Express, which is an actual real book about a Russian guy who was a molester of little girls.
Yeah.
A real story, a real history. He named it after a molester, a pedophile, a Russian pedophile, right? So,
and if I think in the files, I think Jeffrey, he literally had that book on him. I think they took a photo of the book.
I think they did. Yeah, it's at the late. It's possible. I'm not sure, but I've seen the cover, so that's why I'm not sure anymore whether it was me who went in research and saw the cover of the book and looked at who wrote the book and all of that, or looked at or saw it in the documents, in the Epstein files. But yeah, if you say so. But it is something strange there. The fact that the boat that he dies on is named after his daughter. It's just something to, keep in mind here. To me, it's sounding very espionage-ish, very like international espionage. This is what this kind of stuff tells me, right, when I see this. But in any case, circumstances of his death remain a subject of intense debate. Official cause, the official Spanish autopsy concluded he died of accidental drowning combined with a heart attack. He was naked.
What?
But he was naked. He was naked. So
they must have drugged him or something for him to have a heart attack and drown. They must have drugged him and then kicked him in the water. Like, what?
I mean, yeah. And what did he do? He was just, why was he naked? What was he just?
Right. What was going on?
Yeah. It makes you wonder, was somebody else there? Like, I don't know what's going on here, But theories because of his death occurred just as his business empire was about to collapse. Many speculate it was suicide to avoid prison or foul play. And again, this is the same speculation with Epstein, right? Right? People don't know. Was it him on purpose or was it foul play outside of that? So this is what I'm saying. It's kind of poetic. Isn't that very poetic? Like, it seems to go in circles, some common things just repeating. However, some friends, cruise members noted that he had a habit of standing near the. This is the excuse part. Here come the Republicans. Nah, man, it's just because he had a habit of standing near the edge of a ship at night, suggesting he may have simply lost his balance.
Oh, hell no.
That sounds like some MAGA. That's a MAGA troll bot excuse right there. And shit. You don't understand. He just happened to be standing on the edge. You know what I'm saying? All right, now. So did they have maggot trolls back then? God damn, what the hell's going on here? This the 90s.
Maggot defenders from the past.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Death and murder and trafficking fucking defenders back in the 90s. Okay, theories. Because of his death occurred just as his business empire was about to collapse. Many speculated it was suicide to avoid foul play. Theories involving, right. However, some friends, crew members noted he had a habit of standing near the edge of the ship at night, suggesting he may have, naked. Okay, maybe it was that.
I mean, at least clothes, not naked. That's some going on with that. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe, maybe it's, maybe one of his friends killed him, knowing his habits. How about that?
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? If you know his habits that well, then that would be a good way for you to get rid of his ass, right? But in any case, it sounds like it's, it could be both. It could be two things happening, Now, did he die broke? While Robert Maxwell lived a life of extreme luxury until his final day, he died effectively broke and massively insolvent. The depth after his death, investigators discovered his media empire was built on a debt-laden husk with approximately $2 billion in debt. That's in the 90s, so that's like maybe what is that? 20 billion today? Okay. The pension scandal. Yeah. If you look at the GDP and how, and inflation and the cost of goods, how much has risen, the pension scandal to keep his companies afloat and prop up share prices. Maxwell had illegally raided his employees' pension fund. Damn.
Wow.
He embezzled roughly $500 million from the Mirror Group pension scheme, leaving thousands of workers with little to no retirement savings. Doesn't that sound like Trump?
Damn.
Doesn't that sound like Trump?
Yeah, that does sound like Trump. That's exactly what the hell he trying to do.
This sounds like Trump, yo. Like straight up. Bankruptcy in 1992, shortly after death. His companies applied for bankruptcy protection. His sons, doesn't this sound like Trump? His sons, Kevin and Ian Maxwell, were also forced to declare personal bankruptcy and later stood trial for fraud. So again, his son is involved in the fraud with the daddy. This sounds like very Trumpy.
They learn from somewhere. All of them learn from each other. So
this seems to be a repeat of their lives, damn near. You see what I mean? Like a total repeat. Espionage, government, foul play and corporate schemes, and who knows, maybe blackmail there too. Who knows what's going on? The hidden wealth. While his official estate was massively insolvent, there has been long-standing speculation, and some recent investigative reports in 2026 suggest he may have had $200 to $300 million in an offshore trust. Yeah, sounds like Trump. Hidden reserves, because they know all about this offshore shit with the oil in Venezuela. It's like this is their playground. That they were shielded from the creditors and regulators. Okay, so you couldn't get that money back. In short, while he died surrounded by trappings of wealth, his actual net worth was deeply negative due to the extensive criminal fraud. Would you like to know more? Yeah, and I wonder how much of that she had access to, Ghislaine Maxwell herself. But in any case, what else? Come on, you want to say something else, Tay, or what? Let me look at the chat.
That's pretty much it. Because I don't think, like I said, I think that Trump and all of them about to go down like that movie Casino. No, it seemed just like it. Because how everyone, people in the EU is stepping down. Elon Musk is getting raided. It's gonna start. They had all those highs. It's now gonna be some real lows. So,
yeah, that's true. I hear you on that one. That's a universal trend, right? You can't go up without coming down at some point. And these people have been up. They've gone all the way up. Now the only question is how far will they go down? It appears. Yeah. So all right now. Well, I appreciate you hopping up.
No problem.
I don't know. Is somebody else in the waiting room or what? Let me see here. Is somebody else? No. It's just us. All right. So I'm on that note. I'm gonna be out, folks. Hold on. Wait a second. One more second here. There was one other thing I wanted to. Sorry. Before I get out of here, I made a mistake. I can't jump off too quick. But hold on. Let me see. Right. Here we go. Is this before? Is this it? Let me see here. Let me see what CNN said about her real quick. Just curious what they ran, Legacy Media. I'm just going to cover the Legacy Media real quick, and then we can get back to this. Yeah, and let me look at the chat. Let me see. Jazzy says, y'all said, damn, I said Jesus. I'm agnostic. Okay, my fault. Yeah, I got you. Okay, let me see here. General Putnam says Cayman Islands, Bank of Cyprus, Deutsche Bank, Putin, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, facts. I mean, you're right, bro. Like, this common theme seems to be repeating itself over and over. No matter what, the same things tend to come up in this scheme, right? Yeah, now let me see here. Who else? Let me see. Tune 3 said, was that you on the phone, Tay, or another? That was Tay. Yeah, that was this Tay that was in the chat. She hopped up, Tay Hunbun. All right, now let's see what they got to say here. Curious about that.
Has emerged from that hearing and informed all of us that Ghislaine Maxwell has decided to take the Fifth Amendment and refuse to answer any questions. Listen to what he's saying.
Everybody ready? As expected, Ghislaine Maxwell took the Fifth and refused to answer any questions.
This obviously is very disappointing. We had many questions to ask about the crimes she and Epstein committed, as well as questions about potential co-conspirators. We sincerely want to get to the truth for the American people and justice for the survivors. That's what this investigation is about. I want to mention the next steps. We can confirm we have 5 more depositions in the book scheduled for the Epstein investigation. On February 18th, Lex Wexner, who is a financial...
I plead the fifth. She led the way for the 5th campaign. You know what I'm saying? So the mere fact that they allowing her to take the 5th, I mean, what can they... I mean, maybe it's because they can only break her down so much as long as she's in jail. There's only so much you can take from her as long as she's in prison. But these other people, there's things that can happen to them. They're free people. Maybe that's why they figure it's not a big deal for her to start off taking a 5th, because that doesn't necessarily mean the rest of them will. But yeah. So let's just hear who else.
Financial client of Epstein, and I believe the former CEO of Victoria's Secret. February 26th, we have former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. February 27th, former President Bill Clinton. March 11th, Richard Kahn, Epstein's accountant. And March 19th, Darren Endike, Epstein's lawyer.
Okay. So damn. So they got Epstein's accountant and one of his lawyers, because you know he got to have more than one lawyer, but and more than probably maybe even more than one accountant. But I'm gonna look and see who those people are and see, you know, exactly who was surrounding him on that level. But let me see here. Edward said that went exactly how Cormer wanted it to go, and don't let his lying face tell you different. Yeah, it appears so. And you know, this is a rigged system. You know, it's a rigged system. I'm not saying everybody in it is a part of the rigging, but it's already rigged in Epstein, Maxwell, Trump's favor. Right. So the Republicans, and I'm not saying this to politicize it. It's just a pure fact. The Republicans are the majority in both houses, and they are the majority on the Supreme Court. So the bottom line is this can go anywhere the Republicans want it to go. And most Republicans have stood behind the president. You know, the Supreme Court has stood by him way more, 90% of the time. You know, very few times have they sided against him. I mean, the United States of America looks different because of this Supreme Court. I mean, we have tariffs, although it says in the Constitution, tariffs are are set by Congress, not by the president. Yeah. Okay. You have ICE federal agents running around the American streets, not doing comprehensive immigration reform, right? You have them. Look, there's data out now. Something like 80+% of the people that they've been detaining and putting in these deportation camps have had their cases overruled by the courts, So what's going on here? You know, it literally is turning out to be just for looks, a lot of what this government is doing. And you got to ask yourself, what is it? You know, what's going on here? Like, is this just like a president with no clothes? You see what I mean? Isn't that what they say the saying is? A king with no clothes. Like, Trump looks like that. You know, it appears that all his strength is coming through. None of the means are orthodox. You know, what's allowing him to hang on is shit that doesn't normally happen for anyone else ever in government. It will never happen again if this country wants to stay alive. You see what I mean? But in any case, let me hear what else he got to say, Cormer, since he's here.
To move forward and try to get answers for the American people.
Do you think that Britain's royal family has questions to answer to your committee?
Well, we would love to hear, from anyone. Obviously, I can't subpoena in foreign countries, or I would have done that in the Biden investigation. But do you have anything to add, Andy?
I'll just add one thing that the attorney for Ms. Maxwell said that she has no indication and would say that neither Presidents Trump or Clinton are culpable for any wrongdoing. And that's one thing they said in his opening statement to us today.
Okay, look, why would you believe her? You see what I'm saying? Like, why? And what is this sucker doing out there capping like this? Like, is that what he found necessary to say? Like, that's what he could say. That's what came out of it. But we didn't hear that. See, listen, this was in the private part. This was in the closed part. They went out of session into a closed hearing where there was a lot discussed and a lot of answers came from her that the public won't hear until it's made public, right? But he offers this part. I thought they all took a oath, made an agreement that they weren't going to disclose anything that was said in those private meetings. But then he says this, right? Now, let's make it very clear. Me, myself, Clinton was the president. You know, how you gauge him in terms of good or bad and individual. I mean, the man has already been caught up in the Monica Lewinsky scandal. He's a married man. I mean, look, Clinton was the president. I don't need to carry water for him just because I'm a Democrat and he was a Democrat president. I don't give a fuck. To me, all presidents are like this, and all government elected officials can be replaced at any time. That's not even a big deal. The moment for any reason you don't like it, you should be very comfortable with changing and voting for someone else, because it's not personal, period. Anybody that votes, for people over and over and over is, in my mind, you making it way too personal. We should be able to replace elected officials every time we have a vote. It's just not personal. This is about everybody's life. This is about the country. It's not about this person, and there should be plenty of people capable of leading. Having said that, I don't want them holding any information back about any human being whatsoever. And I would never believe Maxwell's words. That would be the dumbest thing anybody could do, is listen to her when she said this. And this is what this fool actually came out saying. What the fuck? Who is he? Was he on Epstein Island? Like, listen to this.
For Ms. Maxwell said that she has no indication and would say that neither Presidents Trump or Clinton are culpable for any wrongdoing.
And he would actually come out and say this? Like, does he believe it is the next question. Do you believe her lying ass? Who the hell is this saying this? Like, this guy, you got to know who he is and don't vote for him again, because something's not right there.
We would love to hear, from anyone. Obviously, I can't subpoena in foreign countries, or I would have done that in the Biden investigation. But do you have anything to add?
You see that? And so he makes it political now, even though aren't there people on both sides of the aisle that have been, that have been mentioned in the Epstein files? So he's coming out of this meeting on the partisan level. I got to talk about Clinton. Clinton was president. Listen to this. This is weird. He's talking about foreign espionage and shit, and he's laughing about it. Look at this. Let's listen. This is weird. I'm glad I actually listened to their comments. But he's going to say who this rep is. Who is this damn rep right here? This isn't Comey. This isn't Cormer. Cormer's in the middle, but the dude to the left.
To hear, from anyone. Obviously, I can't subpoena in foreign countries, or I would have done that in the Biden investigation. But
yeah, Biden.
Anything to add, Andy?
I'll just
Andy. So this is Andy, right? Yeah. This is Andy. I wonder what's he got to do with this.
add one thing that the attorney for Ms. Maxwell said that she has no indication and would say that neither Presidents Trump or Clinton are culpable.
Look at Cormier's face. Look at his face. He looks down. He looks down on the ground when he says that. And look at that. That is really, really weird.
I can't subpoena in foreign countries, or I would have done that in the Biden investigation. But do you have anything to add?
So they pointing to Biden, but Biden's not in the Epstein files. He's not in the Epstein files. He didn't direct anybody to do anything. And if anything, people are angry as fuck at Biden for not directing people do everything like Trump is doing. People are like, now in retrospect, people are pissed off because they're like, man, why didn't Biden, put this information out there? Why didn't he just do it? But you hear Biden and his stance on that, like it's separate. It's just you don't direct the federal government on what to prosecute. They already have their directives. So why do you need to tell them who to prosecute? You know, you're not supposed to do that, you know, according to how the shit works. But Trump does it all the time, right? So, but a lot of folks that are against Biden, against Dems, against Kamala, they always point that out. Like, why didn't he do it before? Why didn't Biden do it? But Biden's not in the files. So you see this guy, Cormier, he hates Biden more than he hates Clinton. That's weird. He hates Biden more than he hates Clinton. That's really, really weird. And Clinton's in the Epstein files. Biden's not. So
I'll just add one thing that the attorney for Ms. Maxwell said that she has no indication and would say that neither Presidents Trump or Clinton are culpable for any wrongdoing. And that's one thing they said in his opening statement to us today.
Was Ghislaine Maxwell put under pressure to stay silent?
What's that?
Was Ghislaine Maxwell put under pressure to stay silent today?
I'm sorry. Did y'all see Cormier look down when this guy made that comment? Look at his face while the dude is speaking. Look at Cormier's face.
She has no indication and would say that neither Presidents Trump or Clinton.
You hear him? He goes. He makes that kind of nervous and looks down. Look at his face. Like, this dude's face looks weird right here. Yeah, and then I'm gonna let it play, but this is weird. Look at this. Look at this.
But do you have anything to add, Andy?
I'll just add one thing that the attorney for Ms. Maxwell said that she has no indication and would say that neither Presidents Trump or Clinton are culpable for any wrongdoing. And that's...
You see that? That doesn't look like he believes that. That doesn't look like he believes that. He looks like he knows that dude is carrying water for somebody. You know, he's not comfortable with that statement. That's what that looks like to me. So, yeah, but in any case, I just wanted y'all to catch that. Let's go.
One thing they said in his opening statement to us today.
Was Ghislaine Maxwell put under pressure to stay silent?
What's that?
Was Ghislaine Maxwell put under pressure to stay silent today?
Well, I have no idea.
Is that your suspicion?
How would I have no idea. I mean, she was given an opportunity. We would have brought her in months ago, but she's indicated she was going to plead the fifth. And unfortunately, she had an opportunity today to answer questions that every American has, questions that would be very important in this investigation, and she chose to invoke her Fifth Amendment rights.
Okay. Damn. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Something's going on right there, it appears, in that little exchange there. I'm not really sure what it is, but there's something going on. It looks to me in any case. Here, let's see here. Let's go on.
President Trump and Clinton, and do you think that there's anything more to do with Ghislaine Maxwell now that she pled the fifth?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Eddie. Just to be clear, what her attorney said, Maxwell didn't say, her attorney said that she would answer questions if she were granted clemency by the president,
Trump,
and that she went on to say about.
So that right there is very telling, because she's saying she's only going to speak if she is given clemency. So that is a clear directive that goes, that's juxtaposed to them inviting her there to speak, right? So she's saying it's all on Trump whether I speak or not. And if he doesn't give me a pardon, I'm not speaking, right? That is, that's basically saying that you can't trust whatever she says because it's contingent upon her getting a pardon or not. Now, it is, because she's saying she's only going to speak if she gets a pardon. So that's the opposite of withholding everything if she doesn't. That means she's not willing to speak without getting a get out of jail free card. But that's not how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to be willing to speak the truth regardless, right? It's not supposed to be contingent on whether you get a get out of free jail card or not. So it's basically saying she's not going to speak about any of this. Like, she's not going to tell the truth. It's basically the same as saying that, you know, but in my mind. And you could see there's some split here among these two. There's a split because one is trying to carry the water for somebody else, and you could see Cormier is not really trying to go along with that. Like I said, he made this little cough when they said when the other guy said or suggested that Ghislaine Maxwell says that, you know, Trump and Clinton haven't been a part of any wrongdoing, and Cormier looked down to the ground and went and looked down to the ground when he said that. It almost seems either like it's a nervous thing or he did it on purpose, right? Like, you know, out of habit of making a sound when somebody's bullshitting, you know. But then watch this exchange between them.
Maxwell didn't say, her attorney said that she would answer questions if she were granted clemency by the president,
Trump,
and that she went on to say about Clinton and
but he went on to expand that. The other thing is he pointed out.
So it seems like, you know, Cormier is only going to carry water a certain distance. The other guy has to carry the water the whole way, you know, the rest of the distance. And they've already decided who's, you know, how far each one of them is willing to go. Like
times that she has a habeas corpus petition pending for a new trial and release.
Look at him. Look at his body language. You see Cormier's body language? It's giving off signals. It's not signaling that he's okay with what is happening here. Like, he's not okay with what this other guy's saying. His body is saying something else. His lips are saying one thing, but his body is saying something else.
Anything more to do with Ghislaine Maxwell now that she pled the fifth?
what? Correct me if I'm wrong. Just to be clear, what her attorney said. Maxwell didn't say. Her attorney said that she would answer questions if she were granted clemency by the president,
Trump,
and that she went on to say about Clinton and
but he went on to expand that. The other thing is he pointed out a number of times.
Look at his eyes.
She has a habeas corpus petition pending for a new trial and release, and that's why she is not going to answer questions.
I know that those conversations are ongoing. They would like them to be public. Is your understanding still that we're looking at those same February dates and they're going to be private?
Yeah, that's what they agreed to, and they will be public, just like this will be public hopefully very soon. We've released every transcript and every video and audio of every deposition we've done since I've been chairman of the committee.
Mr. Chairman, does the committee have any plans to subpoena Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick given the revelations?
We're going to try to get these 5 nailed down. We've got a lot of very important people we're trying to bring in to answer questions. We don't want to do anything to jeopardize the 5 that we have on the book. So we'll see what happens here, and we'll move forward. We're interested in talking to anyone that might have any information that would help us get justice for the survivors. Yes.
Thank you. On the disagreement with the Clintons about closed-door videotape testimony versus public hearing, are you concerned that this will be enough to restart contempt proceedings, or do you think you'll come to a resolution?
I mean, they said they agreed to a standard deposition. That's what a standard deposition is. Every time I've come out here for a press gaggle with you all, we've had a standard deposition. So this is how depositions work, and it will be made public. So they want a public deposition. This is what they're going to get.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask you about Ilhan Omar for a moment? Mr. Chairman, your investigation.
Chad.
Your investigation about Ilhan Omar. Why are you targeting her when there is a Ilhan Omar? Your committee investigation with Ilhan Omar, when there was a process in the House.
Okay, it seemed like they didn't want to take any more questions about Maxwell, but now they're going over to Omar, Representative Omar out of Minnesota. Let's see.
People have questions about their conduct. This would go through the ethics committee. Why is this?
And I've spoken. I'm glad you asked that question. I've spoken with the ethics committee. The ethics committee has jurisdiction over members of Congress. The 2 businesses in question are owned by Ms. Omar's husband. So the ethics committee does not have jurisdiction over a spouse, only a member. So that's why we just asked, we would have questions. I don't think anyone would.
It pertain to her overall finances, because the That is listed on her financial disclosure report, even though that's her spouse.
We've run this by the ethics committee, and we think this is the appropriate route. So, and we'll do one more.
I mean, you have to, everybody, the standards got to be kept the same for everybody. So is that going to be the standard for everybody? Yeah. Is it? It appears to me like they don't want that as a standard, but the president had to call that out as a distraction in any case.
Question, yes.
Yes, just going back to the Clinton deposition, sorry for space. I understand that you're going to release the transcripts, you'll release the video. Why is there reticence to just have it be public since the Clintons, look, they are not your typical people being deposed?
When you say public, what do you mean? I mean, it's going to be the video, and we'll release it. The public will see every second of the deposition. I think they're trying to muddy the. What's that?
But not at the time that it happened. So
what? A few seconds later? I mean, it's.
No. Why should the American public be withheld any information anymore at all? The Epstein files are still being withheld. So how do you corroborate things when you have information being withheld? And now they're saying that, we want the right to withhold to have the Clinton deposition in private. Why? Like, to me, the public needs to put their foot down. No matter if you're Republican or Democrat, you need to put your foot down on every representative that you pay taxes to and just say, get it over with. Like, what is this all about? Stop the secrets. There can be no more secrets. Everybody knows these people are part of some espionage. Anybody with a brain, if you ask me, with an intelligent brain, has figured out that espionage is at play in this administration. Something with these Epstein files and beyond the administration. We talking about judges. We talking about, congressional members, senators. People have been stated. And Andy Biggs, somebody asked the question. Who was that who asked about Andy Biggs? That was General Putnam. Let me see here, bro. I looked that up. To answer your question here, let me see. There's public testimony regarding a pardon request by Andy Biggs. Source of the claim: during the January 6th committee hearing in June 2022, Cassidy Hutchins, a former top aide to White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, testified in a videotaped deposition that Biggs was one of the several Republican lawmakers who sought a presidential pardon weeks following January 6th. Denials. Congressman Biggs has constantly denied these claims. His office previously stated that the aide was mistaken. His aide was mistaken. It wasn't him. It was his aide. That's what Trump does too. Didn't just Trump do that about this Obama and Michelle Obama, cartoon leak or whatever? That bigoted ass trope, and Trump is getting his ass kicked because people are reminding his ass that he could look like a monkey too. Now, don't get it twisted. And that he did not seek a pardon, characterizing the committee's investigation as a witch hunt. Very Trumpian, the terminology he used. Now, Sasha Riley connection, yes. And Andy Biggs mentioned in a viral Sasha Riley testimony and is the same Arizona congressman. So they're talking about the same person. And for people that don't know the allegations, in January 2026, audio recordings attributed to Sasha Riley, an alleged survivor of child trafficking, began circulating on social media and Substack. And these recordings, right? So we've heard them recordings here, and they are damning. The things that he said, listen to me. If you ever thought you heard any other account by any other victim, you need to hear these. What he's saying in there is so damning. I mean, he's talking about kids have been murdered over this, drugged, murdered, thrown out to the wolves, tortured. He says Andy Biggs was one of the people that tortured and raped him. He says he believes the Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas is one of the people that raped him, although he doesn't remember, but he believes it was him because he said this guy was around all the time in these private parties, right, where they had kids doing different things. It's not just sex. It's many different things, a lot of different crazy shit going on there that he accounts for, right? Now, This is just months old. This, in January, a month old, these audio recordings were released. Okay. He also names Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan is the official, the House official rep who chaired the hearings with Jack Smith. The hearings that just passed. This dork, the guy up there, he's saying this guy was there. And he also says, guess who else? Lindsey Graham. He says Lindsey Graham was at these parties too. A series of extremely, extreme sex party type of, things. Not just sex though. Other stuff going on too. So just for to answer your question, General Putnam, yes, it's the same dude that they're talking about. Yeah, that's the same guy, Biggs.
I think the Clintons are trying to muddy the waters and create a false narrative, like depositions behind closed doors. That deposition was behind closed doors, but you had at least 10 members of Congress in there, and you'll have the video, I hope, very soon. Yes. Go ahead. All right.
So that the Clinton deposition happened already? What did he say? Let me just take that back. What?
Not at the time that it happened. So
what? A few seconds later? I mean, I think the Clintons are trying to muddy the waters and create a false narrative, like depositions behind closed doors. That deposition was behind closed doors, but you had at least 10 members of Congress in there, and you'll have the video, I hope, very soon. Yes. Go ahead. All right.
Ghislaine Maxwell, we know from the Epstein files.
Okay. Yeah, they haven't. It's scheduled for the 26th of February, the Clintons' deposition.
Tell the truth. She got moved to an open prison. Now she's asking for clemency to speak at all. Was it a mistake to move her to that prison? Should she be moved back?
I don't know the rationale for moving her from one prison to the other, but look, initially she had asked that the Oversight Committee grant immunity, and when we met with the survivors of Epstein, it was pretty clear, according to the survivors, and we had 20-some members in that meeting, that Maxwell was a very bad person, and she committed a lot of crimes, and it was the intent, in my opinion.
Okay, so that's a very defining statement, very clear there, that she's a very bad person, a very bad person, right? So that, again, these are two different views. Does Trump think this? Why hasn't Trump shut down pardoning this very bad person, right? So this is Republican here, Cormier, versus another Republican, Trump, over this issue, right? Two different directions, going in two different lanes, totally different, juxtaposed from each other, right? So, I'm just curious about why there would be people still in doubt that Trump is covering this shit up. Why would there be any doubt anymore? Because what one Republican is stating the logical path would be one way, and Trump is doing the exact opposite. You see, so yeah.
When we left that meeting in a bipartisan manner, that we would not grant
What's up, Eric?
immunity. Now, what she said today, she's asked for clemency.
Mac Miles, what's up?
The president. So, I personally, for the reasons you just stated, don't think she should be granted any type of immunity or clemency. But we'll obviously, as more documents are
right
from the president. So. I personally, for the reasons you just stated, don't think she should be granted any type of immunity or clemency. But we'll obviously, as more documents are read and understood, then we'll go from there. But I'll close with this. And I think it's great that the Department of Justice is letting members of Congress come in and look at all the unredacted versions of the documents. Attorney General Bondi is doing what she was supposed to do via our subpoena first on the House Oversight Committee, as well as the Epstein Transparency Act. So I think we're finally going to get some answers. And
yeah, they got Pam Bondi by the balls, by the way, because she every day she is in office that she does not release these files and do what they say, essentially, is a day she can be held in contempt, and that can be a fine of like $10,000 a day. You know what I'm saying? So they have her where they want her. The question is, how much of this is good enough for the American people? How much is it still good enough for you that she slowly gets to work on this stuff? Or is it just too late, too little, too late, and that it's not personal, but you need people that can act on your behalf much faster? You see what I mean? And I'm one of the people that says, nah, fuck all this, man. This shit should have been resolved. It should have been resolved before, needs to be resolved for now, and now it's too late. So every day that it's not happening is the day too late at this point. So that's my view. My view is not like, why didn't Biden do it? No, why not? Why is that not my view? Because that was in the past. Can't do anything about that, but you can do something about here right now and demand something here right now. And so for me, here right now, it's too late. Every day after is too late. So it ain't good enough. So I hope she gets fined. I hope she gets fined. Why not? She would fine anybody else. She would fine me. She don't give a damn. You see what I mean? Let me see. Max says she don't care about sanctions or the law. Yeah. She's obviously looking to get a pardon too, right? That's what they all looking for, a pardon, right? So, but I'm not, and maybe she could get a pardon for this, for being found in contempt of Congress. I got to look that up. I'm not sure how that works exactly, but that's an interesting point. Let's see here. Let's let them speak their mind now.
At the end of the day, we can do what our objective is in this hearing: provide justice for the survivors. So thank you.
Provide justice for the survivors and cover it up at the same time. How about that? So they're out of there. I'm not too impressed. I'm not impressed because it looks like progress at a snail's pace. You know what I'm saying? And people going to get hurt. People are going to die. Keep in mind, the American people have a life to live at the same time that their representatives are being paid by the taxpayer. Now, so these people right here, let's just be clear about this. All three of these people are getting paid by the American taxpayer, their salaries. You pay for their dental care. You pay for their kids' private schools. You pay for their housing. You pay for their vacations. You pay for all of that. They live it a very good life. But you, the taxpayer, cannot have the same. You don't have that life, pretty much. Most taxpayers do not have that life. And what they're telling you is that, we're working on it. We're working on it. We're trying to get it out. And all these people, and this guy is talking about Pam Bondi and shit. And it's like, look, they haven't released the files. You're paying for the files to not be released right now, too. That's crazy, right? So they've said that, okay, we're going to release a little. But I mean, again, this is just, to me, this is almost like trying to test the water. Put your foot in the water, see how cold it is. If it's not that cold, hey, let's jump in. Let's see if the American people go for it. To me, that's what it seems like. Now, if you stick your foot in the water and the water is cold, then you're like, oh shit, I'm going to lose my job. These people ain't playing. You see what I mean? So it seems like they're doing a lot of testing of the water to see how long they could get along with this, to just, what did they call it? Bird feed the American public, because after a while, being bird fed when you're starving is better than nothing, right? You like, you will create that divide among the people too. Hey man, don't stop my bird feed. Don't stop my bird feed. I need my bird feed coming to me. You know what I'm saying? When it's really you're about to be, put your own life. They're about to take the bird and throw their ass up on the grill and shit after it gets, But in any case, it appears to be what it is. And let me see who's here in the chat. We got Dennis. What's up, Dennis? Yo, Friday, I'm doing the live stream about the stocks. The U.S. Is releasing their economic data on Friday. That's the 14th. No, on Saturday. That's the 14th. So Friday is a good day to have this conversation about the stocks. So I'm going to reschedule that. It's already rescheduled for Friday. Those of you that want to know, Eric, also you and anybody else that's a member, you can check out that stream. I'll probably make it public anyway. But going back to this, let me see what the chat say. And they not going and not to go to jail. Yeah, they don't want to go to jail, and doing everything to not let us vote. And they doing everything. The same administration. Your tax dollars are being used to help you not vote. Like while they withhold these files. So you may as well connect this not wanting you to vote to these files not being released too. You see what I'm saying? Like, they're doing a lot. They're doing a lot right now they're doing a lot to stop American people. At the same time, they're doing a lot to withhold the truth from the American people. So victims, Don, what's up, Don? Victims as young as 9 years old. No, victims as young as 8, Don. As 8 years old. This is crazy. It's 2 of them that are gone on record now, saying they were 8 years old when they started being sex trafficked by these folks, between 8 and 12. I think Sasha Riley, that's what he said too, 8 and 12, you know. But let me see here. Eric says victims went to the authorities. Someone was constantly refusing to investigate. Yeah, and shutting it down. Yeah. I mean, these people got had their claws into a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's scary. That should be scary. No one should ever want that. You got to remember, if this type of things that have been alleged have gone on the way the victims have described it, and I mean all the victims, that means people are in danger if these kind of activities are allowed to exist today. And you don't know if they are, because you know when you're the victim. Apparently, nobody else believes victims. So your child could become a victim. Anybody else could become a victim to this. And the question is, would people listen? Would people do any different? Would the authorities do any different today? How do you know they would? We'll know by how this turns out. You know, that might help. But, yeah, let me see. Visionary Star says you can't refuse to pay taxes. So who really have the power? Yeah, you can't. Yeah, whether you're happy or not, you can't say no. They're going to throw your ass in jail. You know, that's really what it is. While you're paying money so they can keep the Epstein files private, they're your files, they're the public's files. It's the public's property now. You can't even see them. But if you don't pay those taxes, your ass can go to jail. That's the situation. And I simply ask, to me, this is not a Republican Democrat question. This is a citizen question. Is this fair? Is that fair treatment? You know, I'm curious to know, is that fair treatment? You know, I don't think it's a fair situation at all. I think that's ludicrous. I think it's a sign of, you know, something operating very poorly in the U.S., you know. But okay, let me see here. All right, so everybody got in there. Now, yeah, I'm going to close the stream. I appreciate everybody for coming out as usual. Yeah, it's a blessing doing these lives. And, you know, actually, it's one of the things that I did right. Is doing some of these lives. I'm not perfect. I'm still learning, but it's one of the things that I did do right. I think I had a good idea last year to look into doing this stuff and seeing how it can work and being willing to learn from some people too about podcasting and stuff like that. Big up to my homeboy Shaka out of France too for helping me, you know, just get some ideas and to understand how this stuff works because, yeah, so now you know I really paid attention. But having said that, I appreciate everybody coming out, especially from the different countries, because, you know, we're all in this together. We're all connected in this. And we need to be connected because you can see that one tyrant can disrupt a lot. And not that things were perfect, not that things couldn't be a lot better anyway, as a norm. Things could have been a lot better anyway. But we still can see that a tyrant can make things even worse. And we should be against that instead of better. You know what I'm saying? So on that note, I'm going to be out. I appreciate everybody for coming out. Click the like button. Click the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed. It helps more people get the stream. You know, share the video, too, if you think the conversation is good. Yeah. And on that note, I'm out. Yo, I'll be back. I'll be back at the same bat time, same schedule tomorrow morning. Right. I don't have the stream up yet. But Friday, I'm definitely going to take some time, and it's going to be an off hour to do the stocks stream. So those of you that are interested in that, come out and pay attention on that one because I'm pretty sure you're going to get some good information and good insight on that. So on that note, I'm out. I'll catch up with you guys in a few. All right. One, see ya. Impeach Trump, yo. Impeach Trump. F Donald G. Trump. Donald D. Is it Donald J? Whatever his name is. Fuck Trump. Fuck Trump. Fuck Trump. And fuck everybody down with him and his whole administration. All right. Congress need to do better. The Supreme Court need to do better. The Senate needs to do better.
Crime babies
Peace.
looking for food, starvation, the recipe people subdued. For the people you trust, got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day, and every clue, don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep, leaving 7 rows to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a dead old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the brink. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather, I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double, but nature gets the shit in a way that's subtle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ad, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Can you feel it? Nothing can save ya, cause this is the season of funky behavior. I came to relax your mind, you can recline. On what? On this here rhyme. I like the style, I'm staying for a while. It helps me show cats that I'm versatile. I'll touch your dial, turn your frown to a smile. I'll make you feel like you're having a child. So relax and open up, child. I'm about to make you walk what? Pimp style? Or pimped out style, you don't understand the logic. See if you don't have it all, I'll take a deposit. deposit. I got shit for you, it's alright indeed. It's like going to the garden and planting the seed. It might tickle for a second, but it won't bleed. So just relax, just hear a dope cry. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax, and just hear a dope cry. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Your entertainment, at the same time, edutainment. In other words, you could call it bent. What I'm saying is that I'm here at your service. It's hard work, but then again, I deserve this. I'm helping people enjoy their spare time. I'm like an instructor when I'm doing my rhyme. Relax and just hear the dope track. It's really not all that, it's not like a gag. We like that when everything is relaxed and chill. You don't have to get fucked up or take pills. Cause I like being myself, it feels good. Yo, it makes my meals taste good. 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 So just relax. It's your dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax and hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax. My mind state, now balloon, it won't inflate. Just take the buzz, this much wiser kid, fuck the shade. And take it to a lower level, and dig a ditch for a devil. Got some more kids and pass the shovel. Dig a hole, take them on a spiritual roll. Lyrics unfold, either that or unroll the scroll. Episodes keep reoccurring and stifling. People's vision get blurring, their hearts start murmuring. I'm about 5 times iller than a Sherman. Introspection is God's gift to the miracle. I freak material, lamb's milk without the cereal. When MCs say your booty, they mean venereal. Your fake material hip-hop killers, they more faking than fucking Michael Jackson and Thriller. The status of a hoe, Quanto Costa. They wanna know how much it costs, kid, I bet for keep to me just relax, and just hear a dope cry. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax, and just hear a dope cry. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax. I traveled the globe just to gain perspective. The theory of relativity applied. Of course, it took a while to decide how I should proceed, but even my life is truly based upon need. So I move forward with more deliberate speed. Smash corny motherfuckers that stuck on greed. My seed is worth more than $1 million in future stock. The goal is to break the safe, the padlock. Mad cats can't stop it, need a rocket. Your style is boring and cold, mine is tropic. Battles you want, commit, you'll change the topic. My partner's